Praise God. Amen. Awesome. I can see we all had a nice time, catching up and getting to meet new people. Very interesting. Very quickly, we'll be going into our first session for the day. And one key thing you should bear in mind when it comes to any building project is the foundation, right? That's the essence of this program. We are going to the fundamentals of the pain points that we might have in terms of our finances, in terms of our socioeconomic choices and everything. So in the light of that, we are going to be having the first session by someone who I hold in really high esteem. She is an astute professional, a very, very excellent business person, a good leader and a visionary individual that I trust that will learn from her experience. She happens to be the CEO and founder of the NL Balance and Dizziness Center, located at Elizabeth Avenue here in St. John's, which is one of the specialty clinics in terms of vestibular rehabilitation in Atlantic Canada, one of the best. So can we put our hands together for Kim Furlong as she comes forward?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to come and speak to you today. It's been a nice exercise for me over the last couple of weeks. Once Io invited me to come speak, because I've been in business at Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center now since 2016. And it's been kind of a whirlwind and a treadmill. And I haven't really stopped and reflected about when I first started. So the last couple of weeks I've kind of been thinking back to when I started this business and how I felt and all the hurdles I got over. So it's been a nice opportunity to just stop and reflect on where I am today compared to where I started. So thank you for welcoming me, and thank you, Io, for inviting me. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, good, good. So I have about 10 or 15 slides just to run through, just to kind of show you some pictures of my business. So in 2016, I opened a business called Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center. And it's a health clinic. I am a physiotherapist. And I called it Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center because we specialize in treating people who have dizziness and balance issues. And as the community ages, our seniors run into balance issues. And we have an ear that controls our balance, and we can get conditions that affect our ear or affect our brain that can cause dizziness. And when I graduated, there wasn't much physiotherapy for balance and dizziness. So I decided when I moved back to Newfoundland that I was going to open up my own business. So I did, and I called it Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center, just to bring attention to those health issues and to validate those symptoms. Sometimes as we age, and if you say you're dizzy or your balance off, you might hear someone say, oh, that's just part of aging. So I'm trying to change that message so people understand that there actually is assessment and treatment for dizziness and balance. And kind of that's where I was back in 2014, 2015. I had this passion for helping people who are dizzy. So if we go to the next slide, what I'd like to share with you in the next 20 minutes is just kind of what my inspiration was, the vision that I kind of had in my mind for a business, the business plan, how we've kind of grown and developed since 2016, and then what the future may hold. So if I go to the next slide, I had a service that I was gifted with, and that is helping people. And that's why I became a physiotherapist. I knew I loved to help people. And when I graduated from school, I loved the sciences. So if you want to help people and you like sciences, health professions is kind of a nice calling. So I became a physiotherapist probably before most of you were born, except you and me maybe, and Elsie, my friend, who's a graduated, retired physiotherapist. So I became a physiotherapist in 1988. And one of the things I loved to do when I did my schooling was to help people who had balance issues or strokes, injuries that affected your brain and spinal cord. When you say physiotherapy, most people think of bones and joints and muscles, but my area of expertise was conditions that affected the brain and the spinal cord. So when I worked here in Newfoundland for my first 10 years. I had a great job, and then I had the opportunity to go to the United States for 10 years, and I worked there. And then, like all Newfoundlanders, we miss home, so I came back home in 2007. And when I moved back home, funnily enough, I couldn't get a job at the hospital because they were full. So a friend of mine said, well, why don't you go and talk to the ear, nose, and throat doctors, because they treat dizzy patients. And when I did, there was no physiotherapist in Newfoundland treating people who were dizzy. And I thought, wow, there's an opportunity for me here to build a practice and help people who are dizzy and have balance issues. So I just started off at a small private clinic that another friend of mine owned, and just one day at a time would treat a dizzy patient, and then I'd send my note to the doctor, and they'd tell the doctor, oh, she helped me with my dizziness. So they just started sending me more and more patients. And from 2008 till probably 2014, which was about 6 years, I worked at this other clinic and started helping people who were dizzy, and the message got around, and I kept getting more and more patients. So by 2014, the place where I was working wasn't quite the right environment or place for me to treat dizzy people. I don't know if you've ever been in a health clinic, but sometimes they're noisy, there's radios, they drop weights, everybody's singing, it's a loud environment. And when you're dizzy, you're sensitive to noise, you're sensitive to smell, you're sensitive to sounds. And I knew in the United States that there was a balance and dizziness center in every state, and there was one in Nova Scotia. So I started thinking, well, maybe I'll do a balance and dizziness center in Newfoundland, because there wasn't one here. So I come to realize that there was a market for my skills. And where there's a market, then I kind of started to develop my vision. What if I could provide those services to people? So my inspiration was my patients who really needed help and who benefited from those services. And then friends and family, because you always need kind of a quarterback behind you. So my husband was a great support, and he said, well, stop complaining about where you work and open up your own clinic. And I just kind of paused and thought, me? Open up my clinic? I have no experience there. I'm a physiotherapist. But I started thinking about, well, why not me? Why can't I? I'm passionate about this. And so I started thinking like that, but it took me 2 years. So the next couple of slides, I'll kind of show you how that vision turned into a concrete facility with staff and with patients. So in 2014, I had 2 little babies. I had 3 kids, 2 babies. One was 4 and one was 3, and one was 14. So it wasn't a really good time for me to be opening my business. So I spent 2014 and 2015 kind of envisioning what I wanted. I knew what a state-of-the-art balance and dizziness center was, because I saw them when I worked elsewhere. And then I knew I need to be able to walk my kids to school. I wanted to walk to work. I needed to be in a location where I was close to seniors, I was close to universities, I was close to schools, and I was close to doctors' offices because I needed referrals and I needed patients. So on Elizabeth Avenue, there's like 30 doctors' clinics. There's the Gonzaga High School, Holy Heart, there's Memorial, and the ear, nose, and throat doctors that were down on the other end. So at the time, the old Canadian Tire building, which most of you might not know, they sold to Bain Johnson's, and Bain Johnson's put Leon's Furniture there. And that was 12 minutes walk distance from my house. And then the lease sign went up. We have spaces to lease. So as I drove by, I kept thinking, oh my, maybe that's my space. Maybe this is a sign. So I then had to go to the bank because I had no money to start a business. I had to go find an accountant. I had to go find resources. And in 2016, I signed a lease and rented 2,800 square feet, which what used to be the old gardening center in the Canadian Tire building on Elizabeth Avenue. So all of a sudden I had a vision, I had a space. So this slide and the last slide just shows where we started was a concrete box, and then I just built it. And I brought along just a little prop to show you. Because when you have a vision, your mind, if you don't have any restrictions on your mind, you can just sit down and think about things, because you don't have it. So let's envision it. So my husband, who's an engineer, I was talking about what I wanted for space, and he says, get me a piece of graph paper. So he got a piece of graph paper, and I just started talking and told him what I thought a state-of-the-art balance and dizziness center would look like. And he kind of drew it out to scale. So I had this picture for about a year and a half. So finally, when I had financial support, I got an architect, and I turned it into a $13,000 official professional architectural plan. So I thought I'd share that with you because this piece of paper came from this. So if you dream it and believe in yourself, it actually sometimes can happen. So when I was doing the design of the clinic, I wanted it to be sound sensitive, light sensitive, no moving screens. So colors, noise, smells, everything matters when you're dizzy. I don't know if you've ever had a migraine or a bad headache or a hangover. You don't feel well. And every patient that comes to see me doesn't feel well. So I wanted this front reception area because when you come in, kind of that's the first thing you see. And when people come into our clinic, they feel relaxed. They don't have to deal with loud noises. And I just wanted to show you this slide because this is the front counter. For some reason, I perseverated on that counter for a long time. And I searched website after website looking for a front counter. And this was a counter that was in a hospital in Japan. And I found it, the design of it on the website. So I sent that to the local contractor, and he built me the counter I wanted. But it's funny how things get in your mind. But I did spend a fair bit of time designing my clinic. So next slide. When we treat people with balance issues or dizziness issues, they can fall down. And from my experience working in the States, I knew that there was equipment I could get that would prevent people from falling down when they did exercises in my clinic. So I actually purchased a 75-foot oval ceiling track, and my patients are harnessed in the track. So if you look in the picture on the right, this client has a balance issue. He's wearing a harness and is attached to a track in the ceiling. When I worked in the States, I had a 10-foot track. when I came home and built my clinic, walking 10 feet, turn around, walking 10 feet gets a bit monotonous. So go big or go home was kind of my thought. So I put a 75-foot oval track in it. It's the largest one in Canada. The next largest one is a 200-foot oval track, which is in the Walter Reed Army Hospital in Washington. And they put that in there for all the veterans that came back from the Iraq War. So it's a pretty special piece of equipment that I'm really proud of. So every day I'd go over, because the build took 5 months. It started in August and it finished in December. So every day I'd sneak over and check up on all the contractors, because you want to make sure that your baby is taken care of well. Next slide. So the one on the left is just a picture of the concrete box and all the requirements and the work that was going on, that I kind of had to wear different hats. They gave me a construction hat. You saw in the other picture, that was the orange hat, because I'd be there all the time on site just to make sure everything was done properly. And then the pictures on the right are what our clinic looks like today. So we started off with a 2,800 square foot box, and we doubled our clinic about 3 years ago because we needed more space. So that's a picture of the second clinic, designed exactly the way I wanted it, with the equipment in it that I wanted. And I'm pretty proud of that now, and it's really nice to look at it. Next slide, please. So in the type of service that I offer, which is balance and dizziness, the technology has gone crazy in the last 20 years. So in this picture, I show you some of the equipment, but the center picture you'll see a camera and a computer screen. And as I mentioned, I always loved science and math. In the last 20 years now, they've developed technology where you can use how eyes move to detect an inner ear or a brain problem, like vertigo or MS or Parkinson's. So when I opened my clinic, I knew of this technology, but I didn't have it. And I said, well, go big or go home. So I purchased the technology, and then I had to learn how to use it. So I spent a lot of time making sure that I was a master of my trade, so I had, one, an advantage over everyone else, and two, I could get the market in treating people with dizziness and balance. So it's just, I wanted to show this slide just because there's so much involved in providing the best service in the clinic that I wanted to have. So the equipment was a big investment, but it's certainly paid off. One other piece of equipment I don't have here was a VNG machine. And a VNG machine is a machine that's very specialized. There's only 2 in Newfoundland, one at the St. John's Health Sciences and one in Corner Brook. But the wait list was 8 months to get that test done. And I said, maybe another market share for me. So I bought the expensive piece of equipment. Took me 6 months to learn how to do it. I thought, oh, this is a big mistake. I couldn't figure it out. It was a lot of technical skills. And I thought, oh, I'm never going to learn how to do this. But I persevered. I had lots of help. Elsie was a guinea pig a lot of times for me. And after a year, I knew how to use that equipment. And then I started seeing patients. I gave all my patients free tests for the first 3 months because I wanted to make sure I could do it. And then I started billing for it. And I've done 300 tests on that machine already, so it's paid itself off twice. So the point being is that sometimes a big investment is very scary, but if you do your research and train yourself, it can pay off. And it's a little bit of a risky, vulnerable position to be in, but for me, I just felt like if I put the time and work in, it pays off, and it did. So if we fast forward, in 2016 when I started, I had 28 square foot clinic with 12 treatment rooms and one therapist, me. And I had to have a receptionist answer the phone. So I was frightened to death. How am I going to get enough patients to fill 12 treatment rooms, because I have to pay rent and light and heat? So I hired one other therapist to help me. So human resources and trained staff has been an ongoing activity I've had to invest my time in. So now, last year, we had 10 physiotherapists and in total 22 staff. And I'm really enjoying talking about that because I haven't reflected on this in a long time. So you do, if you want to grow your product, because I'm selling a service, others may sell products, or, there's all kinds of things that people will buy nowadays and invest in. But right now, healthcare is a business. It's certainly a business in the States. And where we have a public system, the government is into healthcare. But for me, people have insurance, and insurance covers physiotherapy. So it's kind of a win-win, because people, I know I'm going to get paid because they have insurance. So human resources, I never really managed people because I only managed myself and my patients in my career. Now I had to learn how to manage people. Another challenge if I wanted my business to be successful. So I kind of dug into doing a bit of reading, and a friend of mine shared a book written by Brene Brown, and Brene Brown is an American business entrepreneur who wrote books on leadership. So I started reading books on leadership, and I realized I have to learn how to help my employees become better employees, to enjoy their work, and how to find out what is their best skill that helps my business. And I've been really lucky with that. I've had people that I've been really able to find their talents and skills. I put contracts and insurance there because when I worked as a physiotherapist, all I had to do was pay for my own insurance and have my own contract. But when you employ 22 people, you have to have 22 contracts, and you have to have insurance for 22 people. Because if something goes wrong, Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center is Kim Furlong. It all comes back to me. So there's a lot of things you need to consider and risks you take. And as Brene Brown says, you have to be comfortable being vulnerable. And growing your own business for me has been a big exercise in being comfortable being vulnerable. But your vision and your passion and your belief in yourself makes that a lot easier. Sales and marketing. So in my generation, there were no phones. I started to learn to use a computer in 1996. So because I didn't have those skills, you surround yourself with people who do. So I started having students come from Memorial. We partnership with the kinesiology faculty, so we get students that come and do work terms at our clinic. So those young people know technology. So now we have a beautiful website. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Facebook. So that was a skill I had to pull in other people around me to help me meet the needs and grow my business. Diversity, services and products. So I found when times are tough, you sometimes need to diversify. So I hired therapists that could do other things for me and offer more services. And we also started selling more products. So you have to be open-minded to diversity in rough times or in times if you want to increase your profit or your productivity. And I just put 2 programs on here. GLAD is an exercise program out of Denmark. I hired a therapist who did training in that, and we now offer that program to seniors. It's a fabulous program. iBike Camp was a non-profit organization that I started because there's a lot of people that don't know how to ride a bike, especially disabled people. So now I have a non-profit called the iBike Camp, and we teach people how to ride bikes. The last thing I'll tell you in diversity is when COVID came and when there's a shortage of staff, I had to really think about diversifying. And the first thing we had to do during COVID is we had to close our business. So on March 20th, 2020, I had to close my business. And the Newfoundland government didn't let any healthcare facility open until June 8th. So March, June, for almost 10 weeks, we had to close. But I knew that I was already offering virtual care to dizzy patients because they don't like to drive. So we had already had a platform, and within 5 days, we switched to virtual care. So I was able to keep working, and 4 or 5 of my staff, I gave them the platform access, and we stayed open virtually. So that was really fortunate that we were able to do that. So we survived COVID. I could pay my staff, and we had the platform, the online platform, to provide virtual care. So when times get tough, you just got to relax and open your mind and think about ways to diversify. There's a shortage of physiotherapists in Newfoundland, so I had to be open to having international students, international workers, and lucky for me, we had a girl from Ukraine, came banging on my door, looking for a job. We have a Ukrainian working for us. Luckily, I had relationships with the university. We had a research project with the university, and I got a wonderful physiotherapist from India who was doing research at the university. So I've really been able to diversify my staff, which is wonderful because the landscape in Newfoundland now is diversifying. So we change all the time, and we grow all the time. Next slide, please. When I started, I could do it all by myself, but now I can't do it all by myself, so I need a team. And I just wanted to show this slide. So those that work for me are health professionals, physios, OTs, massage therapists. I have human resources people that help me. I have to work with insurance companies, law firms, vendors, finance, accounting, support staff, and reception. So all of these things are an important part of my patient's care. I cannot no longer think about, oh, come in, I'm a physio, I'm going to treat your dizziness. My patient really is affected by all these different, what I call my business team now. A far cry from where I was in 2016. And next slide, please. So I thought back on just kind of when Io asked me, what was your inspiration? Where were you? What kinds of things went through your mind when you started? And I just put a bunch of these different kind of advice, things that people said to me or that I took seriously that helped me kind of through this growth process, through challenging times like COVID. And even now, I still kind of pull myself back to some of these points that I thought helped me along. Believe in yourself. And you got to realize that only comes from you. Because people don't tell you all the time how good you are. You know, they assume you know that, but you got to keep remembering to believe in yourself and know that what you feel you can offer, believe in that. If you have a product or a service or a skill, believe in yourself, because that's really important. Lean on your supports. Don't try and do it all yourself. Don't be afraid to fail, or don't be afraid to be vulnerable. You've got to be vulnerable when you take risk and you believe in something. Find the right mentors. Back in 2015, when my husband said to me, well, why don't you just do your own clinic? I kind of thought, oh my, but I don't know anything. Well, this person can help you with this, and this person. So I had 3 or 4 mentors I could draw back on that I really trusted. So I think that helped me believe in myself and my vision. Walk the talk. So what that meant for me is I had to make sure that what I said I could do. So I spent a lot of time before I even opened my business making sure that I knew more about dizziness than anyone else in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I've continued to try and stay ahead of that. Do your research. So I did want to just show you this. I pulled this out, dusted the dust off. This was back in 2015 when I was just sitting thinking about what would my business look like. So someone said, well, you have to do a business plan. So this was the original business plan that I haven't looked at since 2015, really. But you got to do your research. Develop your plan, build your team, don't lose your focus. And every day, if not every week, I kind of have to say to myself, Kim, remember why you're here. Because it's hard to make some decisions. You have to come back. Don't lose your focus on what your main goal was. And then have a backup plan if things go wrong. Initially, my husband's a comedian. Initially, when I wanted to do this, I said, what if it fails, if I can't get patients? I have rent to pay. Oh, just declare bankruptcy. So he seemed to have this answer that was a backup plan, and I knew nothing about what bankruptcy said. And I said, okay, fair enough. And I moved on. Next slide, please. So I'm very passionate. I'm detail-oriented. Some people may say OCD, but I take pride in my work, and sometimes you get buried in that. So I love this slide because you got to remember, be vulnerable, things will work out, chill out. So it just says, burnout was our greatest challenge until we changed our mission statement. So you got to be careful of burnout. Next slide, please. And that's where we are today. If you're driving down New Cove Road or Portrait Cove Road and you see that sign, that's me. That's us.
Thank you very much, Kim. I think we'll just go straight into the question and answers. That was a fantastic presentation. Let's put our hands together for Kim Furlong one more time. And also, coming highly recommended is the iBike Camp. She's also the founder of the iBike Camp. So if you don't know how to ride a bicycle, or you have kids that don't know how to ride a bicycle, come to the iBike Camp. We'll share the details with you. So if you have questions, please, we'll just be taking 2 questions. Then we'll grab some coffee. We've got some coffee outside for us. Okay, first one.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Really learned a lot. I just want to ask, if you were to do it over again, with hindsight, with the knowledge of the experience you have, what would you do differently?
I don't think I'd do anything differently. You know, I've come across things that I wish I may have changed, but I think sometimes things happen for a reason, and times that have been really, really tough that I thought I've changed, when I've got through them, I'm stronger, I'm better, and things turn out for the better. So I think I'd have to reflect really hard on what I would change. Right now, I've expanded. I had COVID, then I expanded my place. So I'm reflecting on would I have done that? And part of me says, oh, it's been a really tough year because our profits were down with COVID. Then we spent a fair bit of money with our fit. But there's still part of me says, no, it's going to work out. You know, it's going to be okay.
It's around the registration of the business. I don't know if you can just knock on that a bit. That's registration, like.
Yes, of course, and that's very important because in Newfoundland and Labrador, there's a registry of companies. So I talked to a lawyer way back in the beginning. I got the application. It was, I think, only $100. And I filled out the application. I submitted it to the Newfoundland government. And I have a certification, registered business, Newfoundland Balance and Dizziness Center.
Okay, thank you. This has been very inspiring. Just have two questions, but I'm just going to ask one because somebody has touched on the second one. So at what point do you advise businesses to diversify? Is it during crisis or before? So did you have backup plans or diversity plans before you went into the rough part of your business, or was it during it?
I think it was during, because I didn't know COVID was coming. I never ever expected that I'd have to close my business. So when COVID came, I had to just sit down and regroup. And I thought, okay, if I can't have patients in, I already do virtual care. Why can't I just offer these services virtually? So then I had to put my team together and how are we going to do this? How are we going to market it? So we sent out a memo to every insurance company, every physician, to let them know that we were offering virtual services. And the insurance companies jumped on it right away because they didn't want their patients not having therapy for 10 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the robust session. Kim, let's put our hands together for Kim. One thing that inspired me the most about our talk was when she mentioned that she was strategic in picking the location for her business. That's some market research. I also noticed that she's niche specific. A lot of physiotherapy clinics out there do orthopedics, do everything, ortho, cardio, pedo, but she focused on one, which was rare, and she provides unique service. Let's put our hands together one more time. Awesome. So we have some very special guests in our midst. I'm going to introduce them in no particular order. Coming with Kim Folong this morning is an experienced physiotherapist, a mentor also, by the name Elsie. Let's put our hands together for her. We also have this morning representing the team from RBC, Esther Iberi, one of our resource persons for today. Let's put our hands together. We have the very dynamic, very astute Ogaga Johnson, PMP, who is one of our resource persons today. Let's put our hands together for her. And we also have another top voice in Newfoundland and Labrador. When it comes to the Nigerian community, everybody knows her. I'm sure you must have heard the word cliff to bliss. Please, let's put our hands together for Ms. Dr. Tolu Akrele. Awesome, awesome. So before we go into the next session, we just have a 5 minutes coffee break. We've got some coffee and some teams outside just by the door. If you're interested, please, we can grab a cup before we move to the next session with the RBC team. Thank you.
RSP helps with your income deduction. Oh, I made 50,000 this year, but I put in 5,000 in my RRSP, so they will tax you on 45,000. Same thing if you have children, you are able to deduct, say, daycare fees, whatever expenses with the children also to reduce how much the government will tax you on. And then, of course, we know that we all have different, the province has different tax, whatever it is, so each province, let me say, each province has different tax rules. Exactly, thank you. They have different tax rules, so you need to know what the different tax rules are. So your sales tax in Newfoundland is different from someone living in Alberta, right? So you need to be aware of it as well. Okay, so in conclusion, you just pretty much need to ensure that your documents are ready for tax filing, and please seek the service of a tax specialist. Like I said, I'm not a tax specialist, so if you know you did not file your tax when you landed, you need to rectify that by speaking to a tax specialist. And then April 30th, by April 30th, if you're a worker or an employee, you should have filed your tax, and self-employed people by June 15th. But I understand that if you're getting paid from your business, you'll still file the personal side of things by April 30th. Okay, Kim says I'm correct. Okay, sounds good. All right. We'll move to the next topic, credit. Credit, pretty much in a simple term, means borrowed money. So bank is giving you a credit card. You first arrived Canada, they give you a credit card and they say, take this credit card, use it wisely, right? And some people would think it's dash money, but we know it's not dash money, Abby, right? Okay, good. So credit card, I always say, is like the foundation of everything. It builds up over time. So if you ruin your credit score with just your credit card, that's a disaster. You can't do any other thing. You can't buy a house. You can't get a loan. You can't get a pass, except you have $500,000 in cash. You can buy your house. But if you don't have that, then you know that you need your credit card or your credit score to, do things in the future. So there are various things that the bank or financial institutions would look out for when they are giving you a credit card. However, because most of the time we have newcomers now, there are exceptions to these rules. So they say, oh, you're new to Canada, we just want to ensure that you're well settled, you can start building your credit history. They will give you a pre-approved credit card right on the spot after your account opening. So that is good. However, we want to ensure today that we understand how the credit works. So you can move to the next slide, sir. Thank you. So how the credit works, I'll just mention like the simple rules that we should always be mindful of. So when you buy something in the store or whatever you use your credit card to purchase, you have 21 days to pay back. Not 21 business days, 21 days to pay back on your credit card. If you have the money for it immediately, I always say pay it off. If you don't have the money for it, however, if you have, let's say, half of it or some of it, pay off that part. If you exceed that 21 days, you'll get that interest charge of 20.99% on the amount you're owing, but not the full amount that you would have been charged for initially. So if you have the money for it, pay it off immediately. Also, one thing I find people do is the minimum payments. They're always like, oh, I'm owing $100, but my minimum payment is $5, so I'll take $5 and pay. Please, please try to pay above your minimum payments, because your minimum payments, you're only paying interest. So you're only making the bank money. So try as much as possible to pay above your minimum payments. Another thing that I always mention to people is cash advance. You don't want to go to the ATM or to the teller and say, can I get money from my credit card? Don't do it. The interest starts reading the moment you take out that money. It reads every day until you pay back that money, and it destroys the credit score. That is even worse than if you had a late payment. So please don't do the cash advance. Another thing is making inquiries online. So Kim likes, let's say, Ford, and her friend likes Toyota. And then both of them go online. Google now is very easy. Just put all your information and put it in, and then you're like, I'm changing my mind. I don't think I like Ford anymore. Maybe I should buy a Benz, or a BMW. Then you put all your information again in BMW's company or Benz company. That is too many inquiries. It starts flagging on your credit bureau. So when you come into the bank and you're like, please, can I get a line of credit? You've only been here for 6 months and you already have 7 inquiries. Okay, what's going on? Then you're like, but I just put all my information online. So you have to be mindful of that. If you want to buy a car, go straight to the dealership and ensure they don't even put any information per se in their system if you're not ready to buy. So you can just say, I'm just here to make inquiries. I just want to know, like, on the average, like, what would a down payment be for, say, so-and-so car, okay? So that's very important as well. Okay, I think we all know that TransUnion and Equifax are the 2 credit bureau companies in Canada, so we can skip that. And who can tell me the average score for a credit score? The average credit score in Canada? You said what? That's high now. Your stakes are high. Who can guess? No. No. Oh, you work in the bank. Anybody? Yes, Sister Tolu is correct. 650. Please, let's clap for her. She has passed my test. Okay, all right. So we'll move to the next. Keep skipping. I've talked about all of this, so you can skip. Okay, all right. Investments. Okay. I'll touch briefly on the investments. We have various registered investments in Canada. The RRSP is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, and it's for pension. So you start working in Canada, like I said, you file your tax, and you get 18% of the income. So there's a calculation for it, 80% of the income, and then they give you a contribution room. So when you get your CRA login account, or when you sign into your CRA login account, you're able to see your contribution rooms. If you're not sure of your contribution room, I would say call CRA to be sure. So you want to be mindful of contributions in all these registered investment accounts. You don't want to over-contribute into them. So how the RSP works is that you work and then you have contribution rooms. So let's assume that somebody came and then worked maybe just 1 or 2 months. Their contribution room will not be as much as somebody who has been working for 10 years, right? So you put that money in. When you're filing your tax, the next tax filing season, you can deduct that money from the income you made and say, oh, I made 20,000, and then I put 2,000 in my RRSP. So 18,000 is what the government would tax you on, not 20,000. Also, if you, maybe by error, you over-contributed into your RRSP, you can contribute 2,000 as the extra of a lifetime. So if your room is 2,000, and then you say, I put in 4,000, you are fine. The government would not fine you or tax you. But if you say your room is 2,000, and then you contributed 3,000 extra, they will tax you 1% on that extra 1,000 every month until you take out that 1,000. And when you take out your 1,000, you're going to get charged withholding tax and federal government tax, of course. So be very careful. Always go into your CRA login account to know your room before you contribute into your RRSP. Your tax-free savings account, on the other hand, I find it the most flexible out of all the investment accounts because you can do anything with it. You don't even have to tell the government how much you put in it. However, you still have a contribution room. So the contribution room starts reading the moment you land into Canada. Like I said, you landed December 31st, 2023, but you filed your tax in 2024. You have the contribution room for 2023. So last year was, I think, 6,500 or 7,000. You can put that amount into your TFSA. Nothing is going to happen, okay? However, if you over-contribute into it, that's when there will be a problem. So you have to be mindful of the contribution room as well. So there's a cheat link I have that I check the calculation and all, but still go back to your CRA login account to ensure that you know what your contribution room is. Your TFSA can be used for anything, like I said. Some people keep it for down payment for their house. Some people use it to save money for vacation. Some people use it to save money to renovate their house. Anything, it's flexible. You can use it for anything. You can invest in any of these accounts. You can put it in a GIC. You can put it in a mutual fund, whatever you want. You can put it in there and not even invest in it, whatever you want to do with it. Your RESP, like I mentioned earlier, our child benefits, right? So we are going to put money for our children's education, for their tuition fees. So we want to be able to set them up early for excellence and not tell them, oh, you're now in uni, go and get student loan. You already had money coming from the government. The best thing to do is to save up that money into an RESP for them so that when they are going off to uni, you don't have to also struggle and say, where do I find money from to pay their tuition, right? Now, the thing with RESP is there's individual plan and there's family plan. If you do the individual plan, then any child that does not go to school or any child that, let's say, gets scholarship and decides not to go to school, you have to close out that plan, and I'll tell you how to close out the plan. However, if you do the sibling plan, which is the family plan, any child that decides not to go to school or any child that has a scholarship maybe and does not need the money that you kept for tuition can pass it on to the siblings. Now, if, let's say all the children now got scholarship, right? So the RESP comes back to, what do we do with this money? You have two options. You can move it to your RRSP if you have the room for it, or you have to take it out. And if you take it out, of course, they are going to tax you on your income tax brackets, your tax brackets. Okay. So they will tax you on that. So those are the two options. So, yeah. Your RDSP would typically be for disability savings plan. So anyone that the government has termed disabled can take advantage of this, and you cannot take out the money until a certain age. You can only keep contributing. Then when you're, I think, 55, you can now take out money from it. Your first-time home savers account is for the purpose of buying your first home. So first-time home savers account is a combination of the RRSP and the TFSA. So back in the days, or let's say before 2 years ago, if you wanted to buy your first home, you could take out the money you saved in your RRSP and then use it for your first-time home buying. However, you had 15 years to pay it back. But with the FHSA, you don't have to pay it back. You can keep up to $40,000 in there, but you have $8,000 room every year. So you can save $8,000 this year, $8,000 next year, until you get to your $40,000, however way you want to save it. But you don't have to pay it back. If you decide, oh, I need my money now, I don't want to buy my house again, then they will tax you the withholding tax. So you have to think deeply of what you're really opening these accounts for and how you should use them. That's why I said the TFSA is usually the flexible one that you can decide, okay, maybe for now I don't have a goal in mind. Let me keep my savings in or my investment in TFSA. And then when you decide, okay, maybe now it's time to open the FHSA or to open the RRSP, then you can open them. But I always tell people, why are you opening FHSA? Why are you opening RRSP? Why are you opening RDSP? You need to be able to tell me that this is your goal and this is what you have in mind. And sometimes we talk about it in the office and we realize, okay, this person doesn't even know what they are talking about, and then we redirect them. So you have to be mindful of opening all these accounts and just opening them for opening's sake, okay? So you can skip. Oh, no, don't skip. Okay, so budgeting. I'll just touch briefly on budgeting. So there are various tools online, bank apps that you can use to track your income and your expenses. So what are the fixed expenses? Your rent, your mortgage payments, your car insurance, your home insurance, those are fixed expenses. They have to come out every month. They have to come out bi-weekly. So you need to make sure that these are, they are in place. However, your lifestyle expenses are flexible. Do we want to go to the movies every Friday? Do we want to eat out every Thursday? So when you realize, okay, I have a goal in mind, I'm looking to buy my first home, but I'm able to save $100 every paycheck, then you adjust yourself and say, oh, maybe we should start cooking at home. Let the cooker work, right? Or maybe we need to stop, buying clothes every 2 weeks or something, right? So we have to be careful about how we spend money, and that's why there are so many ways that budgeting tools come in place. So we have the government tool that can help with budgeting. We have RBC My Advisor. We have budget calculators. You can even use Excel spreadsheets to determine your income and your expenses. Okay? All right, so we'll skip. Okay, thank you. All right, so Ali is not here today, so I'm going to take her portion of the mortgage. So I'll get you to skip, sir. So there are different myths that newcomers get to hear or hearsay from people about not eligible to buy their first home. It could be, oh, you've not worked up to 2 years, because when they're asking for documents, they're going to say, have you worked up to 2 years? Give me your T4, say 2023, and your T4 2022. But somebody's like, oh, I've only worked for a year or 6 months, right? So there are various, or there are special programs now in place for newcomers that can make people eligible to buy their first home. Of course, the government rule is students can't buy their homes anymore, right? Until you become a work permit permanent resident. And visitors, of course. So you don't need to have 2 years experience or 2 years of Canadian employment before you qualify to buy your first home. Even if you don't have credit history that is up to the full 2 years or up to full 1 year, you still have like supporting documents that you can provide in order to be able to buy your first home. And then also some people say, they don't want to go to the banks, they would rather go to the brokers. Well, it's up to everybody, but we're just letting people know that you can still qualify for your first home. You just need to speak to a mortgage specialist or a specialist in that field regarding your first-time home purchase. So next slide, please. All right, so I'll just run through quickly on tips on how to ensure that you're making the right choice with your home purchase. So apart from the down payments, do some people know what else, apart from down payments, what else you need for first time when you're buying a home? Insurance, yes. What else? Lawyer fees, thank you. Your home inspection. Sir, please go back to tip 1. Oh. Thank you. So there was a funny story of a couple that I was meeting with last month. And she said, when we got into the office of the person, they were like, we thought it was only down payments that people just provide for buying their first home. They now started adding this one, adding that one, adding this one. We're like, we did not realize that there's this fee and this cost and this fee. And I just laughed in my mind because I was like, they didn't get the proper education. And a lot of people fall into that category that they just think, oh, Shebi is just 5% down payment. And when I do like 2 or 3 shifts, I'll get the money. Right? So there are other costs associated with, buying your house. Don't let me say first home, buying your house. The lawyer fees, like Statolu mentioned, the closing costs, your insurance, property tax. Those are things that they will chop your money. So it's not only the mortgage payment that you'll be paying. You will pay property tax, and God help you, even bought condo, you pay condo fees too. Okay, that's tip 2. All right, so Saving for your down payment is also very important. So like I said, your tax-free savings account, your first-time home savers account, these are accounts that can help you to, save for these goals, save towards these goals. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so speaking to a mortgage specialist is also very important. So I always tell people that you don't have to say, oh, I'm buying my house next month. Then you now say you want to speak to the mortgage specialist today. You can do it 1 year before so that you have an idea of what your pre-approval can be, the documents you would need. So if, let's say, for example, you have maybe credit cards maxed out, you have loans maxed out, you can easily talk to the mortgage specialist and they will say, oh, your TDS is high. Can you pay off this credit? Can you pay off this loan? So that way you are able to work towards that goal and then oh, okay, even though we are buying in 2025, we're already planning ahead and you can easily pay off the loans and then start saving or doing whatever you want to do for, the purchase of the home. Okay, next slide. And then, like I said, pre-approval. Please always negotiate your rates. When they give you the rates, you ask them as you go to, Balogun markets now, you tell them that, Sheko ba, can I pay? So please, 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 always negotiate your rate. And also when you get a pre-approved amount, so let's say, for example, you get a pre-approved amount for $500,000. You don't have to go and buy a $500,000 house. You can buy something less if you know you cannot afford the $500,000 house. Your pre-approved amount is just telling you can buy up to that amount. It doesn't have to be that exact amount. It can be less than that, okay? All right, and then finding a real estate agent. So some of these mortgage specialists, they work with real estate agents that would easily they will just transition you straight to the real estate agent. And they will be able to say, okay, these are houses, do you like these ones? And you can go for viewing and all those things. Then lastly, you want to be able to buy your house where it's important to you. So a lot of us, we know now, Niger people like amounts. Abi, am I lying? You people are laughing. Okay. So we like amounts now. And some people say, because it's central. Okay. Abi, because your friend is there. We don't know. Okay. But just ensure that, if you have kids, is it accessible to, can the boss pick them up and drop them off? Or if you want to do the runs and carry them yourself, that's fine too. Restaurants, like eating out. Medical services. So just ensure that you have those facilities around where you're buying the house. Don't go and carry your house and go to East End where there's nobody there. If there's emergency, before pastor will come to your house. Right? So be mindful of the things that you like and what you want your environment to be like. That's pretty much what I'm saying. And I think that's it. Please tell me that's it. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Awesome. Let's put our hands together for Esther one more time. That was very exhausting. So I'm sure we have a... Sorry, when I meant exhausting, I mean she exhausted the topic. She covered every area necessary. So if you have questions, please raise up your hand. We'll take 3 questions and that's it.
So my question, I think it's like 3 of them, right? So number 1, why is searching for stuff a problem? Like I talked to Epson, I talked to Audi, I talked to Toyota, I talked to Volkswagen. Why is that a problem in the bank? Yeah. Number 2 question is, if I move fund from my FSHA, or what is that? FSHA? Yeah, so if I move fund from that account, if I move fund from my free tax or tax-free to that FSHA, do I have to close the tax-free account after moving the fund? I mean, vice versa. What happens to the other account? Does it have any negative impact if you left one open and you have moved to the other account and there is no fund in it? I want you to talk about that. So the 3rd question is about the credit score. The credit score, right? So Yes. So what about if you didn't use your credit card at all, but you have it? What happens?
Is that all? I'm trying to remember. What's the first question? Okay, yeah. Making too many inquiries. All right. So making too many inquiries kind of tells that you're unserious. That's just the term. You're unserious. That's the only way I can put it. So you're going from bank to bank. So you know there are some people that they have accounts in all the banks. They will get credit card with all the banks. So by the time you're coming to me and I'm seeing that you have 2-3 credit cards, my question would be, why do you want another credit card? Why are you making too many inquiries? Somebody almost fought me 2 weeks ago about that. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you a third credit card. You're a student. You're not a family man. Why do you need a third credit card? And he was like, okay, I'll close the other one. I said, when you close it, and I have the evidence that you've closed it, maybe I can give you the one with RBC. So when you're going from everywhere, going, they'll say, this person is not serious. You need to be able to establish a relationship with your financial institution or with, say, the car dealership, right? So relationship building is very important as well. Pastor can come to my branch now and I'll say, oh, I know pastor, right? Oh, he's the pastor of Deeper Life Member Church. And maybe he comes in and is like, oh, I need $100,000 from my account. I'll be like, that's not pastor's usual transaction. But because I know him, I'm not saying personally now, I'm saying because he has established a relationship with the bank, I can say that's not his usual transaction. What is going on? Something is off. And then I'm like, can you give me a second? And I'm messaging my manager to say, something is off, right? And then we dig deeper, and maybe somebody is calling him somewhere and threatening him that you bring 100,000 now, if not. Do you understand? So you need to have that relationship building, and you can't jump from. Secondly,
moving funds from.
Okay, so with that, you can't move from TFSA to FHSA. You have to move from your checking account to your TFSA, your checking account to your FHSA. So you can have all those accounts I mentioned. Nothing wrong with it. Like I said, when you sign into your CRA login account, you will see which ones you are eligible for, and you can open every one of them. So I can say, I want to put $25 every 2 weeks or every month into my TFSA, and still say, I want to put $50 from my checking account into my FHSA. If you want to take the money out from your TFSA, you have to put it back in your checking and then transfer to your FHSA. But you can have any of those accounts as long as you're eligible for them. The third question.
You have it, but you don't use it. And I'm coming back to question 1.
Okay, so yes, if you don't want to use your credit card, that's fine. But my question is, when you want to buy your house, do you have cash to buy your house? You have $500,000 that you can just say, bam, bank, I want a house. So yeah, you can decide not to use your credit card. But
Okay. So yeah, essentially to build a credit score, right? Yeah. So now back to the question 1. Your answer happens to like expounded that question. Okay. Yeah. So this is the direction, right? So I wasn't actually talking about having multiple credit cards. So perhaps
But it's multiple inquiries.
Yeah, so yes. I had thought that you were talking about, like, I go online. I want to check out Audi as a car. I want to check out Toyota as a car. I have just one credit card, for instance, right? So is that a problem?
It is a problem.
How? Why?
Because you're not making up your mind.
So
and when I pull your credit bureau, it's not the bank now. If you go to Scotiabank or CIBC, they will see the same thing. They will see, oh, this person made inquiries too many times. You know when you open an account, they ask you, oh, do you consent to credit bureau inquiry? They're not pulling on your credit bureau. They're not doing any hard check. But the moment to say yes, which, of course, I always tell people to say yes, that's one inquiry. You do your credit card application, that's another inquiry. So now you've had 2 inquiries, and that's okay. But then when they are seeing 6, 7, 10 in a space of 1 year, 18 months, then there's a problem. So the question they will be asking is, where have you gone to? What have you been doing? I went to Scotia Bank to collect credit card. I collected credit card from CIBC. Then they will start saying, Oga, what is going on here? Do you understand? It's not because it is wrong. It is just the system flags it automatically. Like, I can't even do anything about it. But I will have to ask too many questions. And something that is meant to be easy, oh, it's just a credit card, let me automatically approve it. Then they will start saying, send it to the credit team and tell us why this person has 6 inquiries or 10 inquiries. Do you understand? So it's just a matter of this person is jumping from place to place and is not making up his mind. That's it.
I feel it's a limitation to choices that you can make about stuff you want. Thank you.
I think, just to clarify, sometimes when people make inquiries online for things they want to purchase, they put in their credit details. If you want to calculate your installments, if you want to buy a car, for example, and you want to calculate your installments of how much you'll be paying for financing, some of those websites will require you to put in your credit details. So those things, I guess, is what you're talking about. Thank you. Question?
I had a question about the first home savings account. So you mentioned, I think you mentioned something about 40,000.
Yes.
If you don't contribute up to 40,000 and maybe you find a house and the amount maybe you need is less than 40,000, can you, or maybe you decide, oh, sorry. I was asking about the first home savings account. She mentioned something about an amount of 40,000. And my question was, what if maybe you find a house early, right? And you decide you want to purchase the house and the amount is not yet up to 40,000. Would you be penalized for?
No. 40,000 is the maximum contribution you can have in there. And some people even decide, oh, I want to have 20% down payment for my house. So you take 40,000 from your FHSA. You can have 50,000 in your checking account that is just sitting there. You combine both to buy your house. There's no set rule about, yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have a question. The first one is, so you want to buy a house. What gives you leverage when you negotiate with a lender? Because you can't just say you want to lower it and they'll grant it. What position can you take as a home buyer that will give you leverage?
I wish Ali was here. Okay, I'll try. Don't quote me on my answer. So it's always good to negotiate your rates because there's always a lower rate. So it's like saying somebody that is buying a shoe, for example. I'm the seller. I already know what my profit is, but I can decide to go above that my profit, right? So if you come down and you are negotiating, I can still say, okay, let's give you discount to an extent. So like the bank is not going to give you that rate and you would think that's the best rate. Do you understand? There's still room for you to ask for a discount. Also, some people say, oh, I already have another rate with another lender, right? So if you have a paper copy for it or a document stating that somebody else has given you that rate, then absolutely you can submit it and then they can do something about it. Yeah, I think those are the... Yes, Sister Tolu?
Thank you so much for the presentation. So you mentioned that, you know, if I had to take out my children got scholarship and we had to take out the money from their RESP, that the parents would be taxed. Why not the kids? Because it's in their name, so I would have expected that the kids would be taxed. And because probably at the time they are not working, so the taxes would be low. That's what I thought.
Right. So let me clarify that again. So maybe I said it wrong. So for your RESP, if they are going to uni and you use that money, they will be taxed, which is 15% or whatever. But if they got a scholarship or they decide I'm not going to school, right, you would be taxed because now it's going to be your money, in quotes. So you are taking out that money or you are moving it to your RRSP if you have the room for it. So now it's more like you're taking ownership of that money. Then they will tax you under your marginal rate. Yeah. So this is what I do personally. This is what I do personally. So I split it for my kids that 208, I think Ogaga will remember that it's mentioned that at CMFI Church. 208 is what I put in their RESP so that I can take advantage of the government grant that is coming to them. And then I put the excess that comes from their child benefits into a regular children account. So that if anything happens in future, I have money that I can easily use from their checking, while the RESP, I don't know what the future holds. I can maneuver it. But I won't be like, oh my goodness, I put all my eggs in one basket. Right? So, yeah. No, it's just a regular account. I just keep it separately. Because I don't want to touch their money anyway. So they have excess from the 208, then the rest of the money I just put in a regular account.
So probably in two parts. What are the lending options? We hear of tier 1 bank, tier 2 bank, private lender, credit union. And they say there are different advantages, pros and cons for each of these. I'm just wondering, because some people tell you the rate they pay for their loans, they are like so low, you wonder how they got it and how they really negotiated it. So I'm just wondering, do you have any information on that?
So I know mortgage brokers have, is the camera on? So I know mortgage brokers have lower interest rates. Honestly, I haven't used a mortgage broker to know like the difference, to say this is the reason why I would want to go for a mortgage broker or a lender. But I know a client did say something one day. He said he felt bad that he had to move his mortgage to a mortgage broker instead of leaving it in the bank, and said something about the mortgage brokers can pull a deal out anytime, while the banks will not do that. Also, when you get a pre-approved letter from the bank, it is a full pre-approval. The mortgage broker will still, in between the deal, they can say, we are not doing again, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I don't know what tier 1 to tier 2 is. So are you a PhD student?
So I have just one last question, and it's around life insurance and how to manage, will I say, liabilities as we go old and things like that. Can you speak to, there's RRSP, can you speak to any other universal life insurance? You can call it any term, just your own, you are planning for your own investment and using insurance as a way to, as a vehicle to also invest.
That's a very good question. Unfortunately, I'm not licensed to speak about insurance. So what I can do is you can check out RBC Insurance or whatever bank you deal with and call them to explain, you know, what it is, and then from there you make a decision. But unfortunately, I'm not licensed to speak about it. Sorry. Yes.
Just two questions. You talked about the ROSP.
Yes, sir.
And you talked about you should not move more than what you have there. For instance, you gave the illustration of you have 2,000, don't put 2,000 there. Are you now saying that whenever you want to move money there, it should not be more than 50%? Is that 50% now? Is it?
You can max out your RRSP room.
Okay.
But, okay, so let me give this example. So my friend came from Nigeria, and she heard about RRSP. You know, she was just happy. RRSP, let me quickly take my money before I touch it and put it in my RRSP. Luckily for her, she put 2,000 exactly, which is that over contribution amount that you can put. When she started working in the bank, she realized what she did was wrong. In the real sense, right? I mean, she could have contributed 2,000, but she didn't have a room. She was not working. She didn't have any income, and she went to open the RRSP. So now she knows better. She will not do that if she could turn back the hands of time. However, I'm not saying you shouldn't put money in your RSP or put half. If your contribution room is 8,000 and you have 8,000, put 8,000.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. No problem. Then what's the difference between in the app, the ROBC app, where you have checking, you have savings? What's the difference between the savings in there and the TFSA?
So, okay, that's a good question. So your savings is just money for emergency funds. I want to quickly assess money for, maybe you get your income, but the time your rent comes out is different from when your income comes in. Let me just keep this money separate so that I will not touch it. Or, hello, Uncle Daniel, school fees money in Nigeria. Your niece is already calling you. Let me just sharply just send $50. Don't disturb me. Do you understand? That's what this e-savings account is for. The interest rate on that is usually low. It's like 1 point something, right? But your TFSA, you can actually take advantage of the investment in there. You can put it in a GIC, you can put it in a mutual fund, right? So that's the difference. Yeah.
Let's put our hands together for Esther. That was very, very powerful and thorough. Thank you so much for the insights. Very quickly, we are moving on to our next speaker, which is the third speaker before our break. She's a top voice on LinkedIn. How many of us are on LinkedIn here? And she's an expert in project management. She's the founder of Verisuit, founder and CEO of Verisuit. Verisuit is an organization that does professional training for anyone who wants to go into project management, business analysis. And she's also project lead in Econex. Let's put our hands together for Mrs. Ogaga Johnson.
Okay, hi everyone. I am the one in between you and lunch, so so you'll bear with me very shortly to talk. I really want it to be interactive, but let's see how it goes. I'm more of a teacher than a speaker, so you bear with me if I ask questions. Okay, good, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you, everyone. And it was just lovely hearing Kim speak. Also, hearing all the things on finances. Don't worry, RBC is my bank, so they'll hear from me soon. But hearing from Kim, I felt she was really authentic in what she was saying, and just I'm a business owner as well, so it was great to hear your story and learn from you. So thank you for sharing. So the power of visibility and networking. Did you see what I just did there? I just networked with Kim. Kim, if I reach out to you some other time, won't you say, oh, I know this lady? Exactly. So that was networking in action right now. Okay, and I commended her, like what she said, and I was genuine because, I'm actually learning from her. So I've already networked with her like that. Just like that. Networking is just really it, and I have that slide, so I'm jumping ahead of myself. But networking is genuine care and just really wanting to know someone. That's what networking is. So I know when people hear networking, oh, I'm an introvert. We start with that. I'm like, okay, we have started. I am I'm the Oga of introverts. So that's because but you see me online, right? So it's kind of like, nah, you can't be an introvert. You have to be an extrovert. But really and truly, let's say I finish speaking now. I need like 1 hour to decompress, or 2 hours to decompress after that. And that's the kind of introvert kind of nature, right? But when you approach networking as just really genuinely caring for people and wanting to know about them, right? And building relationships, that is what real networking is all about. And it removes that stress. But let us go back, okay? So who here, let's do a human poll. Who here, if you are a professional, like you're a student, you have a business, or you have a career, can I see your hands? Student, business, or you have a career? Anyone? Okay, okay. If you have a LinkedIn profile, keep your hands up. Okay, okay. If you posted on your LinkedIn this week, leave your hands up. 4 people. And before we started this, everyone had their hands up. But just 4 people remaining. I would say that's about maybe 10%, or between 5 to 10% of what's in this room right now. Is that Is that fair enough? Right? Cool. So it means that when we leave today, I'll give everybody assignments. Okay? All right. So, so I'll start with the scripture because that is one of the, I believe that, as a Christian, whatever I do has to be based off of the word of God because that's what I live my life by, right? So this is one of the scriptures right from when I was in what will I say now? Children's church for me, Sunday school. I remember the scripture so clearly, but it was Matthew 5:16, and we did like a sandwich, right? It was in Nigeria. I went to a Baptist church in Nigeria, and it says Matthew 5:16, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven above. Matthew 5:16, put in your bread now. And I can never forget that scripture, and it just stayed with me right from when I was small to growing up now, and I'm grown up more, amen. But I want us to read from Matthew 5, from verses 14 to 16. First of all, it says, you are the light of the world. A town, that is explaining what it means by you being the light of the world. That you are a town built on a hill and you cannot be hidden. So there is no option. There is no option. Let me stay on my lane. No, you can't stay on your lane. Do you get where I'm coming from? You can't stay on your lane. You can't be hidden. There's no option there. You can't. And then it said, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the place. Arise and shine, for your light has come. Isaiah 60 verse 1, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. That means God has already put his light. You are his light. The light he has brought to the world to shine. And it's disappointing to be hiding. What do you think? It's disappointing to be hiding because you ought to give light to everyone. It's not for you. It's for everyone that God will be glorified. And that is what 16 now emphasizes. Now, okay, if you didn't get it in 14, you didn't understand it in 15, let me explain it more in 16. Right? It says, in the same way. That's why I said, in the same way. That is the same thing I've been talking about from before. I'm just making it more, explanatory now. It says, let your light shine before others. Wait, okay, sorry. Before others. So, it is instructional. It is before others. That is it. Your light should not shine for yourself alone and just you. It should be before others. So, I just want to stay in my lane. I'm minding my own business. No, we're not called to mind our business. It says your light must shine before men, and they will see God's good deeds. No, your good deeds, my good deeds. It means that there is something good. Ephesians 2:10, predestined us unto good works. So there are good works that we ought to do, that our light must shine for others to see. And when that happens, that is when people will give God glory. So I'm doing a disservice to the light of God in me by not being visible. That is basically the foundation. I am doing a disservice to the light of God in me by not being visible. That is one thing. So the next slide, I emphasize something that I'm going to say throughout, right? If you go to the next slide or the next page. Let your light shine before men. Before men. I didn't say it. The scripture said it. That's why I started with that. So that I have a backing. So that I have a backing. It's before men. That is it. So who's your light shining before? Right now, think about it. Is your light shining before anyone? Anyone. Men. It didn't say one man. It says men. It says others. There's a plurality to it. It doesn't mean that, it has to be thousands of people or millions of people. It just says others. It means that it has to be more than one. Do you get where I'm coming from? So we're not talking about, I have to have millions of followers or 1,000 followers. No, that's we're not about followers. We're about lighting others with our light. And that's why we have to be visible. I was saying sometime that in my career, by grace of God, I've grown to, a senior leader role in a career, like in 9 to 5. So somebody employed, it's not my business, somebody employed me in a senior leadership role, right? That's what I mean. And when I'm looking for, okay, yeah, this is great. I'm looking for who is in this kind of, the clean energy space here in Newfoundland, who is also a believer, so I can, network with them. I can't find one. And there might be one, but the person is not really visible enough. And that is an opportunity to light me. So being light is not just about us. It's about the opportunity to light others. For people to actually say, oh, you're a Christian, and you can get to this level in your career. That means there's, it's possible for me too. Or you're African, you're an immigrant, and you can get to this level where you are calling some shots and people are listening to you. Wow. That means I can get there. Or you have a business. It is about lighting others as well, not just for ourselves. So, just wanted to put that. Okay, let me say some myths that I know people say when it comes to visibility. I don't know much. Who thinks they don't know much to share anything on social media? I don't know much. Thank you for your honesty, because that's the truth. I was there. I said, what do I know? Let me not come and say something and somebody will just come and, you know how on social media they're not nice on that social media. They will just give it to you, back and back. And you'll be like, who sent me message? I should have just stayed in my quiet corner. But do you know what? Let me give you an example. This is just a random example, by the way. Let's say you're an immigrant, right? You're a newcomer somewhere. People, normally newcomers struggle to find work when we come here, right? But you're a newcomer and you've been actually getting lots of interviews. You're not getting a job yet, but just interviews. Do you know there's someone who has not even just their resume, they have not even gotten one reply back. You know more than that person. Even if you're not gotten the job, you can teach and just share your experience. That's being light. Light is just sharing experiences of how, I'm able to actually get lots of interviews. Like if I apply to 10 different jobs, at least 5 will call me back for an interview. There's some people, I know that because I have students, one of my students who just finished one of our programs, she reached out and she was like, Coach, thank you, God bless you. And every time I'm like, what happened? Hey, I've been in Canada since last year, early last year, and I just got my first ever job, like first ever. And even menial, like small, she couldn't get. Do you get where I'm coming from? Our first ever. And this was even a supervisor role. The same people that were rejecting her from getting even the smallest, just by light. Light. Supervisor role. Light. That is it. That is why you need to be visible. There is something you know that someone else doesn't know. Regardless of your level, you're in level 1, someone else is on level 0. You're on level 2, someone else is on level 1. So don't discount any of that. And that's why I say I love what Kim was sharing, because, hey, at my level now for, let's say, business, I can say, to be honest, okay, maybe I'm not on level 0. Let me not underrate myself, because that's another thing we do. We put ourselves down. We discount experiences we have. We discount the knowledge we have. We discount the value we have. And we discount so many things. That is one thing that, even I myself, I am coming out of it. It's not modesty. It's not modesty. It is not. It is foolishness. And I'm saying it because I have been telling myself that. See the way I was talking now, okay, my business, I'll just say maybe I'm on level 0. But honestly, I'm not on level 0. My business made its first 6-figure last year while working a 9 to 5. That is not a level 0 business. Do you get where I'm coming from? Now, obviously, you're like, hey, don't be talking about money like that, too. But it's the truth. Like, it's fact. I can show you my tax filing. Do you get where I'm coming from? So it is not bragging. It's just about being light and being visible. So I wouldn't say that I'm on level 0 for business. I can say, okay, I've not gotten to, the 7 figures, the millions, but at least I've crossed 5 figure into a 6 figure. So that is something. Some businesses have not crossed a 6 figure revenue. So I could teach, or not even teach, just share about why I was able to cross that. Remember, that is not level. There are some people that have 8 figure. Do you get where I'm coming from? So there's some people that are higher, but I've gotten somewhere, and I can share about it. It's still in the essence of being light, understanding that I have value. You know the amount of value we have, especially when and if we're in Christ Jesus. So much value. We are his masterpiece on display. Oh, the masterpiece of Christ being low and small is not in his master plan. Have you seen a masterpiece being underpriced? No. The more we understand the value we carry inside of us, he has put it in earthen vessels. The amount of value that we carry, we will walk in that way. Because personal branding is also how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. Does that make sense? That's personal branding too. How you present yourself. There's a way you will dress. There's a way you will have your hair done. There's a way. I'm not saying don't okay. Am I not looking okay today? Do you get where I'm coming from? Imagine if I came here with my hair looking so, even the hair itself is kind of rough today, but imagine my hair looking so rough, even hygiene, I was smelling. Do you get what I mean? My nails, obviously, you don't even have to do painting of nails. Do you get where I'm coming from? Because I don't have any right now. Doesn't mean it's not good. I do it as well, but I just don't have any. So that I'm not talking about you have to, package and be artificial. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying look good and presentable. That when I walk, I can walk up to any high figure right now. And be confident to say, "Hi, how are you doing? My name is Ogaga Johnson." Oh, and you are, because I've packaged myself well, and it's just about just dressing and looking good. That's part of personal branding as well. Someone will say someone is already doing what I would have loved to do. It doesn't matter. Are you the only one doing wellness and physiotherapy in Newfoundland and Labrador? Kim? Doesn't matter. There's room for everybody. So because someone's already doing what you're doing doesn't mean that you can't do it or you shouldn't do it, because there is a unique touch that you will bring that no one else will be able to bring, because we're all unique. And we all have different perspectives, different experiences, regardless of the same, maybe, education. There's a different touch that we bring to things because of our personality, because of our beliefs, because of our just life circumstances as well. So it doesn't matter. Talk. I've already said, let me stay in my lane. That is hiding. I don't even need to talk too much about it. That is hiding. Staying in your lane doesn't, I'm not saying because everybody's doing immigration now on YouTube, I should go and do immigration. That's not what I mean by, that's not what I mean by staying in your lane. What I mean is that hiding, let me not come out now, and others. Then I'm a private person. I don't want my business online. That's another popular one, right? I'm a private person. I don't want my business online. And me too. I'm a very private person. There are so many. I travel a lot because I love traveling. But I don't need to share that on social media. It's not based on what I want to share. I can share it, but I don't need to share it. So you can still choose what you will share and what will be public. That's what I'm trying to say. I can decide not to share anything about my children, but I feel like, that is part of the experience of career that I'm doing, that, you can have a great family, you can have good kids, you can have a thriving career, you can have a thriving business, you can have it all because Jesus already paid for it all. So that's why I show my children. But I don't need to travel. I don't need to show you that, today I'm going on a cruise from year to year. I can, but I don't need to, because that's what I've decided not to share. So I'm trying to say you have control over what to share. So if that is what's holding you back, do you have an excuse again? No, perfect. I don't want to brag or show myself. That one. It's not bragging. It's being light. And you know what? Actually, there's a way that you will write something that you yourself, you know, is bragging. There's a way you will write it that you know, okay, no, now I'm taking the glory. Because remember in Matthew 5:16, it says that men will see and give God glory, not you glory. They may thank you, but that's okay. But give God glory. At least they must see the God in you that is enabling you to do what you can do. So they must give God glory. So there is a way you write something that you know, oh, okay, this one now, I'm just hyping myself. This one is just praise, right? So obviously, I will share some things of how to prepare for visibility later on that I'm learning as well, guys. I'm still learning. Fear of what people will say. People will say whether you are showing up or you're not showing up. So you better just show up so that they will really have something to say. That's just where I am in that aspect of things. And if they say something that I don't like, I delete their comments straight. It's my account. I have control over it to protect my mental space. You say something I don't like, I delete it. Or I delete the post. It's not compulsory. So I'm saying don't make it such a big deal. It's about being light. Okay? Next, please. I think I've gone over where I'm doing. Okay, so what's holding you back now with all the mints that I've shattered? Write it down if there's still anything. And let us discuss it after. I'm sure Pastor will also give insights to it. So I have backing here. What is holding you back? Nothing. I heard nothing. So that's perfect. Next, please. And like I said, the definition of visibility, do you know that it's being seen? I was so like, what? When I checked, and I checked Google, it's Google I checked for this one. I said visibility is being seen. And what does Matthew 5:16 say? That they may see. So, okay, no big deal, good. And networking, I have the next slide on networking. It's just genuine care and kindness. And you know, as a believer, we are called to love. Networking is loving. That is what it is. It is loving. And you know what? I'm still learning in this area because there are some dimensions the Holy Spirit will take you into to start making you realize that this is not good. So, for example, in my workplace, I can just sit on my desk. You know, obviously, I talk to my colleagues and all that. But I realize that if you're truly a Christian, right, you should ask them about, they always talk about their family. Oh, how is your daughter doing now? You know, how is your son doing now? Because it's genuine care. And that is really it. And sometimes I'm just too busy working, you know. Or more efficient girl, hard working, getting all our metrics done. But honestly, that's important. But at the end of the day, I'm working with these people. How am I light to them? Genuine care. Just genuine care. And then, if they buy a house, oh, congratulations, I give them a gift. It's genuine care. It's just me being light and giving love, which is what we're meant to do. So that is how I approach networking now. This was not always my mindset, by the way, because it was not always, especially when you're an immigrant, right? You feel like, oh, know the highest, topless person so that, when there's a job opportunity, you're already connected with them. They see your name, boom, they invite you for an interview. No problem. But do you know what? The truth about it is that because people can sense, right? What vibe did I get from you when you networked with me? Oh, this one just looking for a job. But you know what? There are hundreds of other people just looking for a job, but there are very few just wanting to care and just actually wanting to know the person and being kind. And that is what will be remembered. And that's what I've noticed. Genuine care. And it's something, like I said, everything, we're still a work in progress. Even I myself. And one of the levels, so I do this with, when you go for a conference, network with everyone, whether they are high, whether they are low. I tell you, my first job when I transitioned into project management that I'm enjoying so much right now, was my fellow, someone who graduated with me. She just said, oh, I'm working in this place, because I went back home for my NYSA. Oh, I'm working in this place, send me your CV, I'll just send to my CEO. If he says yes, And that was it. And that was how I got my first project coordinator role. So even project coordinator intern role. And from there, and that's 2015, from there I can tell you I've enjoyed a beautiful career. And that's what led to the opening of the business, because I never thought of business, far away from me, please. But honestly, when you're just walking in light and just being visible, the Holy Spirit, God just begins to say, I can use this person, and just opens you up to so many opportunities that in your wildest dreams you would never have thought. But you have to be willing first. that, hey, you can use me. If you invest in me, people will see it. But if you invest in you and nobody sees it, what kind of investment is that? Because then the glory, God doesn't share his glory with anybody, oh. He doesn't. And he's abundant in that glory. So he will invest in whoever is ensuring that glory is being seen. And that is the absolute truth. So next slide, please. So what's the purpose of networking and visibility? It's a tool for influence and impact. 2 years ago, obviously, sorry guys, I'm saying Holy Spirit. It's not. I know it's a sermoner for this, but I can't separate my life from that because that is my reality. Okay, so a tool for influence and impact, and that is the honest truth. Visibility is a tool for influence and impact. And this is actually just online, like you see, visibility is a tool for that. But before then, I'm telling you that 2 years ago, that is one of the things that the Holy Spirit said, it is time for influence and impact. I don't do much for influence and impact. I'm telling you, and I don't even care who's liking my post or who's doing this, but I can tell you that I started a YouTube channel when 2 years ago. I've not posted since 9 months, guys. So it's not like it's even active. But I tell you that channel has blessed so many people. We have 14K subscribers, and I don't even post. In fact, it was just yesterday I said, okay, resurrect this thing now. Resurrect it after 9 months, and I posted again. Because God is looking for people on earth, man, to use. He's actively looking for. He says, who will I use? Who will I use? And it's those who make themselves available to use. And he wants to use his children. But if his children are not ready, use any other person. So it's up to us. We see so many people who are not believers, get so many great opportunities. And we're like, Lord, me that I'm your own child, don't call. But it's because, whoever say that man diligent in his work, will stand before kings and not men. Not a believer, a man. That's the principle. It is any man who is diligent in his work will stand before kings and not men. That is it. So in terms of, you have to understand the value that you have value. That's first. So let us say it. I have value. I have value. I have my experiences, my skills, my also work experiences, life experiences, work experiences, skills. They're all valuable. That is what we must continuously tell ourselves. We are valuable. It's an opportunity to light others and show others that it is possible, just like I said. And it's a powerful tool for professional development and personal branding. So in terms of, I get lots of speaking engagement. Not just in terms of, I'm talking about universities here. I've taught in CNA, Mon Business Day, I'm there speaking. CPHR for Newfoundland, I'm there speaking. I'm going to speak at an economic conference. I'm going to speak at, it's a tool. I can get any job that I desire. And it's not bragging, it's facts. Because you can just Google Ogaga Johnson, what shows up? Let's try that. No, bring out your phones, just Google Ogaga Johnson and see if it will be me that will show up. Because I'm not the only Ogaga Johnson in the world. Do you get where I'm coming from? But just Google Ogaga Johnson, what comes up? Because now if I use my phone, my name will come up because obviously it's my system. What comes up? You see, do you get what now my phone is biased because it's me. Am I the one that came up? Google your name. And your phone is biased, so it's meant to bring up your name first, technically. Do you get where I'm coming from? Who wants to associate with mediocrity? Who wants to associate with mediocrity? Who likes mediocrity? How would you influence if you are settling for less? I want to make you angry in your spirit today. And uncomfortable wherever you are, especially if it's less than where you ought to be, because you know where you ought to be. It may not happen right after this session, but you begin to take the right steps so that within a year we'll hear a different story. Amen? Okay, next slide. Let me be fast now because I'm noticing that, I'm taking long. Leverage social media. Because everything is digital now. So leverage social media. I'm now going into the whole personal branding and professional development section of it, right? Leverage social media. You're leveraging social media to learn and to grow because there's so many other people that you can learn from, learn their experiences and grow. Okay, so it's not only about just because you want to be out there, but also to learn from others who have gone ahead and to grow. And it's to network and connect with others as well. Like when you're learning and you're growing, okay, leave a comment, engage with them. That is networking. I tell you that so many people that have connected with me, I've not seen them like physically before, like in terms of it's all social media. And they left a comment, their name stayed in my head, they're constantly commenting, we're having conversations, we can even take it to the DM, and it's actually very meaningful. So, network with others on social media, whether it's their post you're liking, or you're giving a comment, or you're reposting what they have shared, because it makes sense to you, like it helped you, so you're sharing it for others to learn. And then share your thoughts, your perspectives, and your insights. Honestly, I can't stress that enough. I will tell you how my business started. So in 26 years ago, December 6 years ago, that's when I moved to Canada. Not in December, I moved that year. So that was 2018. I moved to Canada. When I moved to Canada in 2018, obviously my husband was like, PMP is the deal here in Canada. I had my Prince 2 from the UK and all. PMP is the deal from there. I said, okay, no problem. So I'm not stubborn. I'm just strong-willed. Okay. Like the way I framed that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just strong-willed. And I'm strong-willed because of there's some I don't want to say revelations, but there are some things that it stuck to me that is just how it is. And I went to Covenant University, so you can imagine, they beat some things into our system and our head. In fact, the school, some people go, they go to a school and school doesn't go through them. The school went through me, don't worry. Just accept that. The school really went through me. So there are some things that, already stuck in my head that, I cannot start from the scratch, regardless of where I go to, because I have experience that is valuable. It is something that no matter what, nobody can tell me otherwise, because it is as a man thinks in his heart, so is it, and that's what I think. So when I came, yes, I didn't have the PMP, but I said, yes, I'll still get a project manager role from where I stopped, where I'm coming from, and then I'll develop myself, don't worry. And that's what happened. Exactly that. And then when I landed the job, okay, no problem, now let's go and get my PMP. I did it, studied, passed it in December, and I was so excited because it was just being audacious. Do you get what I mean? Like just really challenging God that if you said this, let me see it at work in my life. I want to be a living proof of this thing so that when I talk about it, it is a living proof. And I just shared about, how I did the PMP, how we went to and everything. People started messaging me. I said, okay, you've not done it before. I said, sharing insights. Can you coach me? Okay, I'll come now, let me coach you to do it. People were passing, I developed a framework. I did not do anything business related. But I tell you that from there, the Holy Spirit led me to start the business, showed me someone who is a business person, business coach. Okay, no problem. Went to meet the person, let's do this. So basically just started it. So I never planned to have a business. That's what I'm trying to say, right? But by sharing, by being visible, a business was born. And then, business started, PMP, from PMP, different more opportunities came. And then I was like, okay, went with it and started growing as well. And I just started continuously shared my thoughts. That's it. I'm just sharing my thoughts in the areas of interest that I have. And I tell you that because of that, right, when people see me, when they ask me, some personal questions, I'll be able to say, this is the way I did it. But I can tell you that it's by the grace of God. Like, I will give you the tips, but I'll tell you that I'm not saying to not work, but there's also the grace of God. And I'm able to share my faith with others. I'm able to share my faith with others. And I'm able to invite them for events if I want to invite them for events, because they will see it. Now, it's up to them to come or not to come. But if it's at events, they must see it. And if they decide to come, fine. But I'm able to share. I'm able to pray for them if they have any issues. Okay, let me pray with you, right? And just that life, let it just flow. That's it. Just the life of God just flowing through. So just share your perspective, share your thoughts. So the next slide, how to get started, because that's a question, right? Choose a platform, obviously for professional, remember we're talking about professional development now. Choose a platform. I'll say LinkedIn is the best when it comes to professional development and all. Set up a good profile, and you can leverage AI to set up a good profile. Just put you can tell it, this is my experiences and all, create a good headline for me, take a good headshot, like a good picture, basically. Put it on there. Use AI to pump up or optimize your LinkedIn, basically. And the next is start with what you have. I always ask people, what do you have? What do you know? Just start with that. Oh, I'm very good with childcare. Okay, there are some people that are looking for tips on childcare. There's some people that are looking for tips on how to be more active. You can share about it because that's what you're passionate about. And then I tell you, the more you share, the more you help people, and the more people, this person knows their stuff, at least to the level where they're sharing. And that's okay. And the more opportunities will open up to you. I tell you that it was true, it was what I'm doing. So this business has opened up so many things. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Like when I wanted to, I was just thinking, teaching in a college or university would be cool. That's how the thoughts come to me. Would be cool. And then an opportunity just opened up in CNN, like, we like to teach project management. We just started a course. I'm like, okay, sure. And I taught it, and it was nice, and it was a way to influence people. I don't have a business degree, but guess what? I taught business operations. I don't have an MBA. But I have proof. Business operations, I taught it in CNA for their project management and strategic leadership course. Proof. Now, someone could have discounted me because I don't have an MBA, I don't have a business degree. I'm an engineer by profession, electrical and electronics engineering. My master's is sustainable energy systems, very technical. Very technical. Very technical. But I have interest in, just helping to see people succeed and, improve their careers. That's what I have interest in. So that's what I share about. So now I said, what are you interested in? It doesn't necessarily have to be your degree. It could be just something you're interested in. Oh, you like, obviously for LinkedIn, it should be something, professional, right? Because you're building your brand. But what I'm saying is that the more you build your brand, the more you have visibility, the more you have proof that, degrees may not necessarily be able to quantify for that. Degrees are good. I have a master's, guys. Degrees are good. But it's your visibility gives opportunities for business growth. So my new role, I left Canada for a while because I wanted to go spend time with my family and my husband's family in the UK. When I got there, 2 offers were waiting for me. Not like starting from scratch, guys. I don't start from scratch. It's just how the Lord has done it. So 2 offers were waiting for me, 60K upwards in pounds. Do you get what I mean? And that was in COVID. And I was working with one of the biggest companies where that COVID affected the most. Who do you think it is? No, COVID gave them more business now. I mean, they lost money. What industry do you think lost money during COVID? The travel industry, airline industries that were not giving, they opened 1 FTE up for me. Value. Value. That is it. When I came back, I cannot start from scratch. Remember, that's the bottom line. Because I know the value that I carry. People tell me no. Yes, people told me no, but that's okay. It means that it's not the right fit for me, period. That's how I approach it. And then you're like, there's an opportunity up there. I just knew that my next level was a director role, an executive leader role. I just knew. And I'll tell you how I know all these things. I just knew it. And guess what? The opportunity came out. It was just perfect for me. So I applied for it and I got in. Director of Workforce Development. Well, guess what, guys? My business helped. Because my business, I do workforce development. And then is in the clean space, my degree of 2013. sustainable energy systems showed up. What do you have? That degree, I've not written it in my, I put at the end of my resume most times. But that role, I knew what I had was my business. Project management is great because I have to lead all the projects there, man everything, do the strategy and all that. But I knew that that degree of 2013 and the fact that I have experience, in that space of, workforce was going to get me that role. So that's what I pushed forward in my professional branding for that role. Doesn't mean all the experiences were not good, but that was what I showed, I did a spotlight on. So what do you have? I know you have so many skills. That's one thing I want to tell you, that I have so many skills. I can talk about 100 things right now. Well, you can start with one thing. I started with PMP for my business, and I've moved to project management, business analysis, data analysis. But what do you have? What's that one thing that you have? And then you can start with it, start talking about it, start sharing knowledge on it, start growing in that light. And you see opportunities come up, so many opportunities that, I would never have thought of. Like you're speaking in an audience, because I'm an immigrant, right? Who listen to me? I'm young, I'm under 35, I'm practically 5-6 years in Canada, I'm coming from somewhere else. But yet I speak in rooms of hundreds of people who don't look like me, and I'm giving wisdom. Visibility. And I'm able to advocate for people who look like me so we have more in the room. Visibility. How would you influence things if you don't have the power and the visibility to do it? How will I advocate that 80% of the people in this project have to be underrepresented groups? Because I want to see more people like me in the industry. If I don't have a voice, who would listen to me? Visibility. You want to make a difference, you have to be visible. So let us go into, learn, when you talk about social media, remember it's not just only about sharing. It's learning, sharing, connecting, and that will bring growth, okay? So finally, be authentic. Be very authentic. There's something Kim said. I'm sure she didn't really understand when she said it, or maybe she did. But she said that, I had to open my mind to hiring immigrants. And you know what? I thought that was the most authentic thing I've, heard anyone say. Because it is true. She's not used to immigrants. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, that's not the growing up she grew up in. So she was authentic there and being vulnerable in a space where lots of people don't look like her, to say, I had to be open to hiring immigrants. Because someone else may hear that and say, what do you mean you had to be open? Do you get what I mean? But she was authentic, that this is my experience and I had to be open. Because I was not necessarily open to that, because that's not what I knew or what my usual surrounding was. But I was open to it. And I felt that was very genuine as part of your story. So be authentic. Sometimes people are afraid to make a mistake. You made a mistake, sorry, learn, move on, period. So you share something that you feel like, maybe this was not absolutely right. Oh, I do apologize. Sorry for that. And I'll take correction and move on. That's it. That's it. Your voice is unique. Your perspective is unique. You are unique. That's what makes your content valuable. So be you. And that's why your voice is needed. Because the people that will attract is different from the people you need to attract. And that's why when we say we have plenty churches, I'm like, it's okay. Because the people my pastor will attract is different from the people pastor here will attract. Because we all have different assignments. And we need each other. So that if I don't attract this set of people, doesn't mean that Adams will never go to any church again because I don't attract them. No. There's another church that they can go to. And that's one thing I'm fighting with Newfoundland about. But we'll keep that later. Newfoundland will say, don't duplicate efforts. Like, I have to duplicate efforts because if I don't like Mon, I don't have any other university to go to. So I will leave Newfoundland and I will not come to Newfoundland again. That is losing people. So have more universities, have more colleges. And I'm going to bring a college to Newfoundland and Labrador very soon. So next, and that is audacity, me saying that. Amen. In Jesus' name, people should be praying for me. Amen. I received the prayers. So prepare for visibility. And this is my last thing. Sorry. Thank you for the time. Before Jesus became visible, he fasted for 40 days and nights. And that's why I said, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. He went to prepare. He fasted, and even with the fasting, temptation still came. Tests and trials still came. So, this, when you are visible, I beg you, you are God's example, God's light. Especially now, I'm talking to Christians, right? That's why I'm saying that. You are God's example, because that is when you walk closer with the Lord. That's when you walk closer with Him, to be led, to know what to say, to know what not to say, because you don't want to ruin your witness. Because the persecution you have is greater than someone else, because you now identify with Christ Jesus. So you need to prepare. It's not a child's play. And I'm not saying that means you lock yourself up in the prayer, in praying. Obviously, prayer, we all know that nobody can access prayer. The word is essential. But what I'm saying is a lifestyle of just consciously being in the presence of God. Where you are walking. Oh, I remember that. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, yeah, thank you, Holy Spirit. That word, just cultivate. Because you need, we say they that are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. Led doesn't mean only in the morning when I pray and that is it, or something. No, it means that I'm constantly, every single moment, being led by Him. I'm not yet there, I can tell you that. What is practice? If we are there already, we might as well just go to heaven now. And that's why it's a daily work. We say carry your cross. It's a daily thing. But it is consciously, you don't leave it to chance. Consciously saying, me, I will be constantly in presence of the Holy Spirit. What are you saying now? Okay, nothing, no problem. I'll keep on going. What are you saying now? Just constantly practicing it, because this visibility thing, you need to be led by the Holy Spirit, because different things will come in. Tears, pride, looking for followers and everything. So I have to put these caveats. Do you get? Looking for followers, everything, stuff like that. But remember, you're for the audience of one, God, for His glory. And every other thing will fall in place. So I just had to put this here because it is what I've experienced. Different opportunities will come. You need to know which ones to say yes to, which ones to say no to. You need to know how to appear, how to present yourself. Okay? So in everything, I want to crown it up with this, that practicing the presence of the Holy Spirit and being led by Him is important in our work in terms of visibility, so that indeed we are tools. Right? We are tools. So really and truly, what's the point of doing all that we're doing if we're not constantly led by the Holy Spirit? And when it comes to posting, you don't have to post every single day. Right? Do what your power can carry. So if it's only once a week, that's fine. But show up. That's what I'm saying. Show up. For me, I post 3 times a week because that's what I can do right now. Sometimes I even don't do 3. I do 2. But at least between 2 to 3. But show up. Be seen. You are the value. There's something you have to offer that the world needs. Don't discount yourself. Even if it's just for 2 people, it's fine. Show up. Some people have audience for, in terms of what they're to give is for 2 people. It's fine. Remember the person that had 5? More was given to him. More. So from 2, be diligent in it. If that's all, that's fine. As long as I'm a tool, whatever He wants to use me for, it's fine. But you know what? After 2, God may give you more and more and more. But even if He only gives me 2, I'm okay. Thank you all for listening. And I'm just bringing back this scripture again. Don't forget this scripture. It's where we started from. It's where we're ending from. You are the light of the world. Give light to everyone in the house. And remember, your house can be 1 person. Your house can be 2 people. In your house, there can be hundreds. In your house, there can be 1,000. It doesn't matter. Just give light to your house. Thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Let's put our hands together for her, please. Wow, that was a very powerful talk. One thing that I picked from our talk is the power of self-imagery, the way you perceive yourself. Do you perceive yourself as small, or do you perceive yourself as big? It's very important. It determines the decisions you make and the choices you make. And another thing that is common to all the speakers we've had so far is that they took a bold step of faith. If you don't take a step, nothing is going to change. If you have 2 questions, can we get 2 questions? Then we go for our lunch. Okay, Bro Charles. Anyone else? We've had multiple questions from there. Any other person, any question? Okay.
My question is actually not a question. My question is a comment, and that's to say that you expounded on this to the point that I have no question. Thank you.
That's very interesting.
Okay, I'll keep it short. Thank you very much for the presentation. Very good one. I want to just ask about, like for immigrants integrating into the workforce or reintegrating. I've had people reach out to me to like ask on how like to approach. The culture here is you have to speak for yourself and you have to put forward the value that you deliver. If you feel you have value and you cannot express it, it's assumed you have none. So I want to you to just speak a little bit on how people can deliberately engage, like speak to volunteering, setting up coffee chats, and developing that brand so that you can leverage on it for career progression. Thank you.
Just to be sure, your questions, like to be able to enter the workforce, right? Okay, so I like the coffee chats you have mentioned. I think it's really good, whether virtual or in person. And remember, it's all about just getting to know the person and getting to learn from them. So approach it like that. You know, sometimes I see someone say, oh, I want to do a coffee chat and just send me their resume. I've cancelled you. Because I know you want to stress me. And I don't like stress in life. I don't like stress. So I've cancelled because the first thing is about resume. So I don't know how to explain it more than that is not the first thing. After our coffee chat, I may actually be the one to request for your resume. So let it be like that. Or you could ask, do you mind looking at my resume? But, you know, and I see sometimes, you know, just sending it, I don't think that's a right approach because it could push people away. You know, you could just say, oh, hi, I see you're working in the, you know, healthcare sector. You know, I've worked in the healthcare sector back home. I'm a newcomer. And I just want to learn, like, you know, how it is like working in here. Like, what are some tips and nuggets? If you don't mind a virtual 15 minutes chat, I'll, you know, just love to hear and learn from you. That's okay. Not everybody will say yes, but at least you see some people that will say yes. So that is really good. But approach it to learn. And that's one thing about social media, right? Learn. That's one of the core things. Learn, share, grow, right? And then just appreciate, commend the person, right? Appreciate the person, thank the person for their time, follow up with a thank you, right? And then, you know, based on whatever, you know, so for me, when I do those coffee chats, I always give the person something to do. And that's because I can imagine that most times as immigrants, sometimes we're shy to ask for some things, right? So I know. So I just say, okay, you know what? Why don't you maybe send me your resume? Or I'll say, okay, when there's an event coming up, I'll register you for it so you can connect with other people within the industry. Or if I see opportunities, I'll send you away, right? So those are some things you could ask. Because some people may not tell you that. So just, oh, please if you send me opportunity around, just, you know, let me know, even if it's a link to a conference, based on the tips they shared, you can now follow up from there. So always have a follow-up and then go back and thank them for their time and say, and then whatever they tell you to do, do it and actually go back and say, oh, I've done it. It just makes them feel like the time that they have invested was worth it and you're a serious person. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then yes, in the workplace, when you get into the workplace, you know, keep a record of what you're doing. And talk about it. In team meetings, for example, you know, you can ask, oh, do you mind if I do a presentation on this project I just completed? And just share tips of what I learned from there, right? That's a way of talking about it, but you also share it, right? And, you know, during your performance reviews as well. Don't go into your performance review just to hear what people have said. No, you also want to go in with, you know, oh, this is what I've done. Is there any areas that you feel I should improve on? But you're also communicating what you've done, and then asking for feedback in areas where you need help in. So I will say that is one thing. You know, nobody in the culture here in Newfoundland, we're very quiet. Not in Newfoundland. We're very quiet, and we don't really like, you know, louding things in quote and unquote. You even see that in the marketing and comms. When I say marketing and comms to some people, I'm like, it can be better. But we see that in even the marketing and comms. We don't like you know, we're not loud people. Generally, right? So you need to be able to know how to, not necessarily be loud, but at least, yeah, blow your trumpet in a way so that what you're doing is out there. Because if not, nobody will know, and you won't be seen, you won't be visible. I hope that helps. Okay.
Any other question before we go on our lunch break? Okay, thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for Gaga Johnson. And for those of you who are interested in getting some certifications in PMP, business analysis, she's here. You can have a chat with her, and add some more credentials to your portfolio. So we have our lunch ready for service outside, so you can just step out and grab one. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We'll be going into our next session now, and it's a session on the topic of investment. We'll be speaking about the fundamentals of investments, the basic things you need to know about the act of investment. And we have as our next resource person, the person of Vanessa Auna, who is a consultant, investment banker. She's going to be running us through her experience and giving us some valuable tips on how we can invest our resources better. And it promises to be an exciting session. She's going to be coming up in a few minutes, and she'll be joining us virtually from our base in Calgary. Thank you very much.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you online.
Thank you. Can I go ahead to share my screen, IT?
Yes, you can, Vanessa. We are with you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining.
So good morning, or good afternoon. So I am in Calgary, Alberta, so we are still in the morning here, but good afternoon to everyone in Newfoundland. And wow, it's been a power-packed event today, I must say. I've been learning so much from Kim, from Esther, from Ogaga, and I'm really honored to be speaking to you. So I will be taking you back to the basics, right? And I'll be speaking on your personal finance and really how you can take yourself from a place of financial insecurity using your savings and investments to a place of financial freedom. Okay. So first things first, let me just give you a bit of background and introduce myself. So my name is Vanessa Awono, and I migrated to Canada in the thick of COVID year 2020. And I'm just grateful to God that I can call Canada my new home, right? For interest, I love arts, and you probably will see that come through in my presentation today. And I also love working with numbers because numbers just make sense for me. So when I was thinking of a career back in high school, I knew that accounting was going to be a good one for me. So I got my bachelor's in accounting and became a chartered accountant with ACCA and CPA when I moved to Canada. Also started working in financial consulting, which was pretty much what everyone did, having had a degree in accounting and finance. But currently I work as a project analyst with Alberta Health Services, which is the provincial healthcare here in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta. When I'm not doing that, I am doing what I will be sharing with you today, which is educating individuals and family the realities of growing money here in North America and how important it is for everyone to, take that seriously. I'm also a licensed insurance agent in Alberta, Ontario, and Newfoundland. I know someone had a question about insurance earlier today, so I'll be happy to take some questions if you do have that at the end of my session today as well. For today's session, I really want to share some things that you probably may know or you may not know, and really encourage you to please reach out after the session if you have questions about a piece that probably resonated with you during my session, or just questions in general. I am happy to do that without any cost implications to you. So when we hear finance, sometimes people think it's a jargon that is meant for businesses or corporation, but it's not, right? Because finance can be very personal as well. And it can be for two main reasons, to me at least. In this part of the world that we live in, right, to be financially educated is very necessary because you do not want to be working so hard, making money, only for it to be taken or spent in places that you did not plan for it to be spent in, right? Another reason is because when we talk about our future, our family's future, we also talk about finance. No one does that without having to sit down and count the cost. So when it comes to money, personally, you will have questions, right? And this was my reality when I also moved to Canada as well. So I have really tried to put down 9 questions here that I will be using a framework to address. Basic questions that you probably thought about, you probably Googled about, but this framework is just to act as a guide to help you remember what you need to start doing when you think about your personal financial goals and investing and saving. So part 1, which is the first letter, which is A, acting early in understanding your personal financial needs. So first things first, in understanding your needs, you really want to take some time to take stock of your goals, right? Where do you see yourself in 12 months or less? And then where do you see yourself in 5 years? And then 10, 20, 50 plus years. Doing this becomes like the reality check that you need in knowing what you are working towards, okay? So let's take a 20-something-year-old, for instance. Your short-term goals may be that you want to buy a car, or you want to pay off your credit card debt, or you probably want to build a very strong emergency fund. And then in the next 5 years, you're looking at something in the lines of starting a family, buying your first home, or even starting a small side hustle. And then in the next 10 plus years, you're thinking of things around your kids' higher education or retiring, or if you're very generous, starting a charity. But for a 40-something-year-old, your goals may not necessarily follow that pattern because, again, you've probably lived some of your life, some of your years doing some of the things like 20-something-year-old is still planning for. And maybe what will be top of mind for you is how I want to retire early, right? So what this means is that at different age groups, right, and at different times in our life, we do have different goals that will have different time frame. But what is constant is that we will have goals, right? And we sometimes have big dreams that we are working towards. So when you really ask yourself, how much do you need to plan for? There are some recurring themes, irrespective of the age group that we find ourselves, right? So whether you're in your 20s or 30s, there are some standard goals that you must aspire, right? You want to have emergency fund. The government of Canada has been generous enough to give some sort of guide that we try to, at least the minimum, encourage people to work towards. You want to build an emergency fund that captures 3 to 6 times your current living expenses, just saved up and stored up in an easily accessible account for contingencies, because you do not want to be in an environment like where we are right now and not have money to take care of your daily needs. Also, importantly, your child's higher education. In this part of the world, education is expensive, and you could be looking at anything between 76 to like 140,000 per child or a 4-year non-medical course that will be starting in sometimes around 2040. So that's about what, 16 years from now. So a child that is currently 2 years old will be looking to go to university and inevitably will have to incur cost. And I don't know that anyone here is probably planning for their kids to take on student loans. So starting to build towards your kids' education is a critical component. And I know that Esther from the RBC team had touched on some of these things. This is just buttresses the fact that there are some goals that are inevitable for every family. And the big one is retirement, right? And the government of Canada has encouraged that you plan to have at the minimum at 10 times your current annual income. So if you earn like 100,000 per year today, you should be looking at something like $1 million at the age of 65, stored up somewhere that you can start to draw from 65 till, for the next phase of your life, essentially. But these are just the key ones. What about other things like buying a house, which everyone probably aspires to do, or even transferring and leaving a legacy for your kids? So what you see here is that though there is a guide to, what goals you need to have, taking a step back in determining what is important for you and also understanding what you should be working towards is very critical because it helps you know if you're doing enough to get there. The next question is, do you need a financial advisor on this journey? And it's very controversial, okay? And I get a lot of questions when I, make presentations about this. But I always tell people this, when you're thinking about your personal financial journey when investing, you should see it as a way, comparing this with your health. So your health is first your personal responsibility. But also there are professionals out there that have the right access to the right type of information to guide you properly to a journey of, great and full health, right? The same thing applies for your finances. There are financial professionals that can do this for you to help you save money, help you accumulate and grow your money, and also help you protect your money. But in dealing with financial advisor, you need to have certain things in mind. This is not like all there is to know, but this has some guide at least in starting out. Number one, you need to get an advisor that has access to the right information, period. Number two, you also need to get an advisor that allows you to enjoy the power of choice, that allows you to have access to multiple options that can be available to you. And then the decision is it's yours to make at the end of the day. Thirdly, you want to go for an advisor that adopts a holistic approach in understanding your financial situation and helping you walk on through that journey. And finally, second, an advisor that you can call up anytime to ask questions, someone you have a relationship or you can build a relationship, a genuine relationship with you that has your best interest at heart as well. So please, when looking for an advisor, you want to find someone who is unbiased and can help you become your own money manager. So now we see that understanding your future needs will really help you in starting this journey very quickly. But let's just take a moment to see what the importance of this is and why we need to start early. So just as with everything else, there is a cost attached to a lot of things, and there's also a cost attached to starting late. So if you've identified very early on at the age of 25 that you want to retire at 65 and you want to have a minimum $1 million when you retire, okay, and you start making plans and start working towards that, you would probably need to save about 200 to 80,000 to monthly to attain that goal. But if you decide to wait till you're age 45, right, that is 20 more years have gone by and you just now starting your journey, you will need to save 1,700 thereabout to be able to attain that goal. And if you leave it to the very end and decide to start saving towards retirement at the age of 55, you will need to be saving and putting aside a whooping 5,500 to get to that 1 million goal. So I encourage you, when you're thinking about your finance, you need to be, the first strategy on the top of mind should be to act early. Understand what your needs are, and then understand what action plans you need to take to get there. So part 2 will be answering 3 big questions. So where do I save? How do I start? And at what percentage or rate of return do I want to start saving? So we've seen in the previous slide that time really is money, and starting early is to our own benefit, right? So the truth is there are 2 parts. So you could be on a part saving first, spending, and you're on your path to financial independence. But when you take the other part, which is you spend all you have and then you make small attempts to save here and there, you're really just setting yourself up to be living paycheck to paycheck and possibly working till the end, right? So you have to be very, very intentional about this. So the best way to save, I always tell people, is when you get your paycheck, always think about it this way. Pay yourself, pay your family, pay your future first. Be very intentional in making sure that you're letting your money work for you and you're not just only working for your money, because there is a cost attached to not putting in as much cash flow to work. So let's think about it this way. If you're not saving money, you're probably spending it. So imagine $5 you spend to buy a cup of coffee every day. What if you, now knowing the maths, you decide, I'm no longer going to get coffee. I want to start putting aside that $5 that I usually would do, buy coffee, used to buy coffee every day. I want to put that in like an investment plan. In 10 years, you will have 27,000 thereabout saved up just by taking that bold step of not spending $5 if you invested at a rate of 8%. And in 30 years, you will have 214,000. So think about what 214,000 will do for you in 30 years. That could go a long way in settling your children's education. So the little things, finding ways you can save money and spend less by speaking with a financial advisor that will help you look at your holistic situation and help you decide on a way that can help you work towards your goals is very critical, because you may think you don't have enough, but the truth is we all have enough. If you can pay your bills, we all have some way we can save or cut costs or save some money or even make more to attain our goals. And also, when we're saving, let's not forget the big monster, inflation. Because what previously cost you $100 in 1994, like say a bag of groceries, now costs you around $180. And in 30 years will cost you $358 in 30 years. And in 60 years, that is even double the situation. So it is important that you speak to a professional that will help you understand what you're saving towards and how to properly save towards that goal. Now, the next question is, where do I save? I wouldn't dwell on this slide because I know this RBC team has done justice to this. But what I would really call out here are the registered accounts and the many benefits they do for you. This slide is a summary, so you can have time. When you have time, you can have some look around about this slide, but importantly are the tax implication on the growth of your money, right? For some of these accounts, you enjoy tax-free. Your growth is tax-free. So if you make money by having money in that account being invested, that growth isn't tax-free, unlike a non-registered account, right? A non-registered account will always attract taxes. And then sometimes you file your taxes and you wonder, oh, why do I have to pay more regarding this particular interest I've earned? Sometimes when you don't know that your tax-free, your TFSA can do some of the things that your non-registered account, like a traditional saving account, will do for you. You end up being a victim of paying too much tax that you don't necessarily need to. Also importantly is tax reforms, right? You want to be maximizing every opportunity to get your money back from the government, because the government will tax you. And they've provided some, I won't say loopholes, but they've provided some tax efficient hacks or accounts that can help you save tax. So why not maximize this, get the maximum that you can get from all of this before you look at other non-registered accounts. So now you know the right vehicles that you want to save in. right? So the next question is, what rate of return would be better or would be sufficient for me to earn? And again, there is no one size fits all in this approach, right? Because when you talk about returns, you also have to talk about the risk. So if you want higher returns, you need to be prepared and ready to accept some risk, and vice versa, of course. So the truth is, if you want to be aiming for a good rate of return, but you have to do that at your risk, right? So let's look at what not getting a slightly higher rate may cost you. Using a simple formula, the rule of 72, if you're in accounting or finance, you probably have seen this being said multiple times. But this just really is a guide to letting people understand that even 1 or 2% goes a long way in helping you save or invest better. So the rule of 72 basically tells you how long it will take for your money to double by dividing 72 by your rate of return. So if you invest at 2%, it will take $10,000, 36 years to double. But if you invest this money at a rate of 8%, it will take that same 10,000 9 years to double. So that is a huge difference. 27 years is a lot. So for someone who is saving at 2%, you have lost a lot of years. You've lost 27 years that your money could have worked for you. And then you've also lost money too, right? Because someone who is invested at a rate of 8% and has doubled their money in 9 years, in year 36, their money has doubled 4 times, right? Than someone who had invested at 2%. So the answer is, it will cost you money and it will cost you time if you do not invest at a good rate. Because remember, the saving money is not just only about putting money aside. It is also ensuring that you let your money work for you. So what I tell people is, maintain a good amount in your checking account, right? And a flexible saving account if that's what you decide to do. But utilize other accounts to invest. So let's use a simple illustration. I love doing this, and you can see that I just enjoy working with numbers. They just tell a bit more story. So we have 3 friends here: Mr. Smart, Mr. Later, Mr. Unaware. They work for the same company, and they started working for that company at the age of 25, and they are paid $4,000 monthly. So Mr. Smart, being the smartest of them all, started saving at the age of 25, maximizing all the savings vehicles that he could, and that allowed him, to get the best tax advantage on his account. Mr. Later decided to wait until he had a family at age 35 before committing to a good savings habit. And Mr. Unaware, of course, being ignorant, had no idea about anything and left all his money in a checking account. So when they are done, worked for XYZ company. At the age of 65, they met to discuss and, compare their financial situation. And what they realized is that Mr. Smart, who made the least total contribution, had generated the most wealth just because he maximized all the savings vehicles that had the best tax advantage, and also because it was investing at a good rate, and it started early too. While Mr. Later, he was pretty much midpoint, right? And Mr. Unaware who has made saved up almost everything he could save up, made the most contribution, but he generated the least wealth because he wasn't maximizing what was available to him. So my goal is that at the end of this session, you are ready. If you're in Mr. Unaware's position, you are ready and you see the benefits of why you want to move to a Mr. Smart's position. And if you think Mr. Smart position is not attainable for you because you have lost some time, it's still okay, because you're still better off in Mr. Later's position than remaining in Mr. Unaware's position, right? So having a realistic savings journey makes sense for you and your family. And always bear in mind that as your situation changes in the family dynamics, your family dynamics change, your savings journey should evolve, right? And that takes me to part 3. So now you've started your journey, right? Or you're starting to understand what this journey looks like. The next thing you want to do is ask yourself, how do I make sure that I remain on track? And the simple answer is just the way I was making reference to the health situation, right? Like your health again, you want to have periodic checkup on your financial situation. So you want to have regular reviews with your financial advisor that truly cares. The financial advisor that probably truly cares for you will initiate this, right? Secondly, you also want to build as you grow. As we've established, the goals of a 20-something, the goals of a 40-something are not the same. So as your financial dynamics change, you want to evolve. And similarly, as your income increases, you want to employ more tax saving revenue. So part 4, you've saved, you've invested, or you have more questions. Now you're asking yourself, so what happens when I can't earn as much? Maybe God forbid anything happens. The truth is, we've talked so much about all of this things, right? Investing, saving. The constant about all this is that we are relying on the fact that we can earn an income. But what happens when that is not in the equation, right? So we insure a lot of things. We insure our homes, we insure our cars, we insure our phones, but we forget to insure the greatest asset of them all, which is ourselves, our ability to generate income. And insurance is one way to ensure that you keep earning, right? So that we don't get into a situation of unforeseen circumstances. So something like the disability insurance and critical illness insurance, being the major ones, are things you want to consider if you're trying to ensure that you have some sort of protection, right? Because if you do not protect yourself and your assets, there's, you stand at risk of losing them if anything happens. So no one prays for anyone to be disabled or, be critically ill, but because we have so much responsibilities that need to be met, family expenses that need to always be sorted, you still have to be better prepared. So insurance is also a way for you to protect your family from the financial burden of liabilities you may have taken. It is also good that someone spoke about mortgage earlier today, because usually that is one liability that people do not properly plan for, okay? And how about life insurance? Life insurance, I like to see it as a way that can create an inheritance for you and your family. Well, mostly your family, more than what your savings can ever do for you. Every day you're working, you're providing for your family. When you're called to glory, which is inevitable, your life insurance will continue to do that for your family, right? Providing for them. So you are building a legacy by having a life insurance policy. So going back to our friends, Mr. Smart and Mr. Later. So they've both, worked and they've lived a full life till their age 100. But when they started working, they really had a conversation and decided, we want to leave $1 million each for our families. Mr. Smart, being the smarty pants that he was, decided to take a life insurance policy to do that. So he paid a premium of $300 monthly for 20 years, which is usually the number of years some people would like to go for when they think about life insurance. And that allowed him to be able to purchase insurance policy worth of $1 million. But Mr. Late decided to invest instead because he didn't believe in insurance. What this meant was that Mr. Late will have had to invest $300 for 40 years to achieve $1 million. So Mr. Late had to put aside 2 times more than what Mr. Smart did. See the difference? So here you can see that life insurance can really help you to leave so much more for your family, because if Mr. Smart decided to invest for 40 years, he would have probably had significantly more than $1 million to give his family, when he passed away. So you've worked and you've accumulated, you've retired, or you're now living off your savings. Another thing that we also think about is our estate transfer. And more importantly, you want to make sure that you transfer as much of your legacy to the next generation, right? So there are some best practices to ensure that you properly transfer your estate. Number one is the use of what we call wealth transfer strategies. And this is something I had to learn I learned and I realized that this is what the Asian communities or the Asian culture use mostly. They maximize what they call a wealth transfer strategy. They make use of accounts and segregated funds that allows that their financial assets goes directly to their primary beneficiaries. Therefore, they don't have to think about, all the debt that I have, or debtors are going to come for, the creditors are going to come for my my assets. So what's the point of, working for them? But when you maximize things like wealth transfer strategies, like a segregated fund to hold your financial assets, you protect that asset from being snatched away by creditors. The segregated accounts funds also offer what we call guarantees. They offer maturity and debt guarantees. So however your investments are performing, if you do have it in a segregated fund, maybe a 75% segregated fund, it will guarantee that whatever, no matter what, 75% of your asset will go to, will be yours or your family, because there is that element of guarantee. Some accounts don't have this guarantee, but the segregated account fund does. Also, you want to use something called, or what we call, insurance. I've talked about life insurance in the previous slide, but you can use, more importantly, permanent life insurance to build a legacy for your family. Here we mention things like whole life and universal life, because the truth is that you're protecting something, or you are, buying policy on something or a risk that will eventually crystallize on for everyone. But when you put your money in a vehicle like a whole life or a universal life vehicle, it allows you an investment portion that allows that money grow tax-free. Okay, so at the end of the day, when anything happens to you, your family gets that investment without it being taxed at all. And of course, it doesn't go to probate. Another important strategy you want to use to make sure that your assets are transferred to your family is what we call wills and trust. So in a survey, I was reading something recently, and about 57% of Canadians do not have a will. If you have insurance policies, or you have retirement plans that allows you to name a designated beneficiary, or you have real estate with your partner, like joint ownership, you probably don't need a will or a trust. But if you don't, every other asset that falls outside insurance policies or retirement plans with designated beneficiaries or jointly owned real estate, you should have a will and a trust, because that would be the best way to, number one, avoid your property going through probate, right? And also ensuring that they're administered and, your assets are distributed as you desire. And lastly, you want to ensure you keep proper documentation of the titles or ownership of all your assets. And you want to inform a trusted person about this, because you want to make sure that your estate does not lose anything. It's one thing to have something, but it's another thing to know that you have something. So the reality is that if you don't have a plan for yourself and how your estate should be handled, the government of Canada certainly has a plan for you. That is the probate process. And the honest truth is that you may not always like how it ends, because a large chunk of your estate will go to the government or to creditors. So to recap, there's some core concepts that I have tried to touch on today. And number one being that if you act early and you engage a financial advisor to understand your future need, you'll be able to start a consistent saving habit that is tailored to you. And also, it isn't really about how much you make when it comes to investing or saving. It's about how much money you put to work for you. Because you can have as much money like Mr. Unaware in your checking account, and that money is yielding nothing for you. Also, you want to make the first payments, or your first salary payment, to your family, yourself, and your future, and then spend what is left. So if you're struggling to do that, then you probably want to be speaking to a financial advisor to help you plan. And also, the goal of this life is not to just make money and enjoy the money. The goal is also to save it, to accumulate it, and protect it. Other things you may also want to consider in this journey is, how do you want to increase cash flow by earning more? Maybe you want to start thinking about that if you've assessed your situation and you realize it is going to be a struggle for you to save. Also, you want to reassess, how can I rebalance my budget so that I can spend less? And of course, the biggest question of them all, do you want to shrink your big dreams to fit your current situation? Or do you want to grow your financial situation to fit your big dreams? I've listed some questions here that you may still have. 30 minutes, I don't want to go over that time frame. So if you have any question about anything I've touched on, you want to learn more about some of the registered accounts, or you want to sit down with someone to understand your financial needs, or you want to know how you can adequately plan for retirement or plan for your children's education, or you want to know about how you can pass on wealth from yourself to your kids and your grandkids, or you want to learn anything at all, please feel free to contact me by scanning the barcode. There is like a Google form that has some fields that you can populate. And that is all I have today. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and I will be taking questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Please, can you display the slide with the barcode again while we take questions? Any questions from anyone? Okay, I'm going to ask one question. What's your take on investing in risky, high-risk investments like cryptocurrency? What's your take on that?
Okay, so investments in general it's a thing of appetite, right? As a person, what's your risk appetite? If you're someone who is not afraid to lose, or you're someone who you understand how to play the long game, then maybe you can go for something like that. Personally, I'm very risk averse, which is so very weird because of what I do. So I really don't take those type of risks because I want to be able to sleep well at night, right? So if you're someone who cannot, allow watch your investment crash with the hope that it will pick up, then pretty much don't dive into things like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Please, let's put our hands together one more time for Vanessa Uno. That was a very insight-filled talk, and I'm sure we learned one or two new things. We'll definitely reach out to you to book one-on-one sessions if you have concerns later on. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you for joining in virtually. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Awesome. Let's put our hands together one more time. Okay, and we've gotten to the last lap of the program. Now we are driving it home. We've learned about investment, learned about from practical examples and stories. So the last speaker coming up is going to be sharing with us some insights into opportunities in Newfoundland and how you can tap into some of these business opportunities. His name is Michael Babalola, CEO, co-founder of Kidara Solutions, also web advisor, special projects at Memorial University, and also a consultant with Canadian Heart and Stroke Foundation. So let's put our hands together for him as he comes forward.
Thank you very much. That was a nice introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I'm happy to be here today. I'm also excited. It's always a good thing when we talk about businesses, when we talk about entrepreneurship. I love to hear it because it's part of life for me as a person. Quick background about me. I think I come across different walks of life. My first background is in medicine, and then from medicine I went to technology, then into project management, and then into training. And now I'm looking into web advisor and IT consulting. So it's just different part of myself, but I think I find it interesting. But in my journey so far, in this different spaces, is that I noticed that being able to understand opportunities is very important, and how to harness those opportunities, or where those opportunities are, and how to connect to those opportunities. Because opportunities is probably going to take you to the next phase of where you want to be in your business, in your career, or in any strategy you probably want to employ. So I'm going to walk us through some opportunities that we know about in our province here, and I'll probably share with us how that is. So this is just brief touch of what I've been able to do recently over the years. I've been able to. One of my program when I was when I was at university at Mon, I was looking into robotics, and it got featured in Telegram. So basically, at that time I was exploring the power of robotics in medicine, and how we can bring robots, the role of robotics in medicine actually, and it was really a great space. After that, I moved into tech space itself and product development, product solution, and exploring how can we create innovative products. How can we provide value to customers, to clients, to people in our environment. And that was what led me to start, led me and my co-founder, Ayo, to start Kidera. And Kidera basically is like a company that we just started. It's helping parents with childcare needs, connecting with the providers, and being able to save that long time of finding a provider in their environment. So looking into this space, I feel like all our speakers today have really touched important points of how do we plan our finances. Everybody has shared their journey so far, and I feel like we attended this session, we have felt empowered. My own area in this particular talk, I would say, is into the tech part of it. That's where my expertise lies, in terms of how can we leverage technology to build lasting solutions that probably transform lives. And I understand that some of us here might be students, and some of us here might not be a student. We might be a full-time working person, but nevertheless, we can still be able to leverage the power of technology, and also the ideas we have in our mind. We can still be able to turn those ideas into businesses and also scale out from there. So I'll probably just go to the next slide. So to me as a person, I wanted to ask this question before now when I had that in my mind about, for those of us that are looking to start a business, or are probably looking to go into business. We have seen that Kim talked about her experience and starting into businesses, and she really talked about how she was able to walk in the journey and how successful she has become. And also, Ogaga shared some insight about networking as well. I would want us to probably, as much as I want this to be interactive, I wanted to ask us that, what are the challenges that we feel like we might face if we want to start a business in the environment here? So a common challenge is like, I don't know where to start. Some people say like, I have this idea, I think it's already out there. Or some people were like, I don't even know how to connect with resources. So these are like common questions that people have, or common worries that they have before they get started. But I would say that looking at that, you just want to take the first step. Because if you don't take the first step, then you won't be able to know what is at the other side of things. So I'm probably going to go to the next slide now. So basically, just a brief, the way I perceive entrepreneurship, the way I perceive business, the way I perceive the whole concept of building a brand that lasts, is basically, it's an art of basically turning the ideas you have in your mind right now, or that particular solution you are thinking about, the process of you turning those ideas to opportunities, and the passions, and also your passion, basically what you are passionate about, into products, and your vision into value. Back then when I was in my undergrad days, I loved colors. I loved working with colors. I don't know how. But I was just wondering, I was exploring, how can I actually explore, how can I use this, what I'm passionate about? And I started asking questions. And I said that was one of the things that led me to meet my co-founder then. And then we started talking about how colors are very important, and even the psychology of color itself. And that got me into graphics design. From graphics design, I started doing more of branding. I started doing more of digital product branding. And before I knew it, I started my first branding agency. Well, I was in my undergrad days. And the branding agency over the years, I've actually has grown so far, and I've worked on numerous projects all across the globe. But what am I saying in essence is that that particular company didn't just start once. It started from a passion. I had a passion about something, and I wanted to bring life out of that passion. And that made me to start asking questions, connecting with the right people, or even connecting. And then before you know it, I was able to connect with the right people. That actually helped me to bring my passion into a product and service I can actually offer to others. So that's basically entrepreneurship. You don't have to have it big. It could just be an idea you have. It could just be a passion. It could just be a skill that in your own closet you are good with it. Or you feel like if you probably bring this out more, there could be more value you can add to society. So when we talk about opportunities in Newfoundland, we ask ourselves, people ask questions like, why Newfoundland? Why Newfoundland? If you come to Newfoundland for the first time, you wouldn't even really know that businesses thrive here or businesses exist. Maybe because of how solo the nature of the environment is, and everybody's just doing their thing, and everybody's just hello, hi, and everybody's going on their way. But it took me a couple of months to understand the environment of Newfoundland and even the terrain itself. It's a great environment for businesses to grow, particularly testing of ideas. This province helps you to test run your ideas and gives you all the support that you need to actually make those ideas come to life. In the bigger cities, it's a different thing entirely. The time is going to take you to scale in an environment like Newfoundland won't be as much as it's going to take you in the bigger cities. So what am I saying is that there are a lot of resources and support available in our own home here in Newfoundland that we need to find and understand, and hopefully I'll be able to walk you through those kind of resources. So basically, there are advantages to businesses here in Newfoundland. There's a lot of government support for small businesses, as well as the community is so tight-knitted that you could be able to connect with the next business, ask questions, and be able to get support from the other businesses that are thriving in the environment. Also, you are able to access local resources, within our universities, within our government, provincial government board. At least one of the things I know I benefited when I was doing my program at the university, was I was able to connect with entrepreneurship centers. And by connection, they actually gave me more insight and knowledge about how can I scale up the idea I had in my mind out there into the province, even before I graduated. So basically, if you look into the key sectors we can go to the next slide. If you look at key sectors with opportunities here in Newfoundland, so we have an idea, we have a business, we have something in our mind. You can actually explore the sectors that we have in Newfoundland. This is just a few of the sectors we have. But so far, from my exposure so far, in terms of my analysis, we have the tech and innovation area in Newfoundland thriving, particularly when it comes to software as a service, artificial intelligence, and even information technology services. Also, tourism and hospitality is also a budding aspect or a budding sector in Newfoundland, and also the area of green energy and environmental solutions, which Ogaga was talking about. Another one is healthcare research. Basically, there's a lot of growing support when it comes to healthcare products, healthcare solutions, healthcare-related businesses as well. For example, there's a particular incubator called Bounce Health. This particular incubator in the province supports any healthcare-related businesses and services, and even solutions and technologies. And they provide a lot of funding to that. I'm probably going to talk about that in a bit. Also in agriculture, this is another new aspect that we're looking into. How can we bring technology to agriculture? How can we ensure a sustainable agricultural ecosystem? And also food production. So these are some common key factors that have opportunities right now in Newfoundland that we can explore, and we can look into how we can bring value to those sectors. For example, now for this presentation, I was actually looking at what we can offer out here. So if you look at this, there are some government support funding, government support and even funding available to everybody in the province here who has one business or the other, or is looking to start a business or the other. And I know one of the key challenges to people that want to probably start a business for the first time could be, how can I access funds? How can I access training supports or training resources? So platforms like this, I think I have a scan code here to the provincial government website that has the list of funding opportunities that we can explore. So you could take a picture of that and you can explore that even at your own free time. So that particular platform provides the endless list of funding opportunities and funding opportunities available for businesses that want to scale up and grow. Another one is that I'm currently even trying to actually explore that right now is the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, ACAO APECA. So basically also as well, they are an agency under the Canadian government that helps businesses that are performing research that is contributing to the development of the province. So basically, there are some funds allocated. There are some funds available that can be allocated to those businesses in partnership in research-related technological solutions. Another one is there are also like tax incentives for small businesses. That's why by the time you get to have a business advisor, you can get more insights about those available tax incentives, and you can be able to take leverage of that. And that is just starting from our province. So if we are growing bigger, there's another particular platform that I use a lot, and I can encourage us to explore. We could go to the next slide. It's called Business Benefits Finder. So this particular platform is under the old Canadian business support for all businesses all across Canada. And what this particular platform does is like a directory. It's going to ask you step-by-step questions of what you need and how much resources you need to probably execute your task or your particular goal for that particular session or that particular quarter. So by the time you end up following the directory, it's going to provide you a list of available support, available funds, available loans, grants that your business can take advantage of. And those particular things can empower you and help you out. So that is Business Support Founder. So for some of us here that are students, are currently students and studying at Memorial University or North Atlantic or every other educational institution in our province, there are also resources that we can leverage on while we are students. And those resources, one thing I want probably to say is that one thing about Newfoundland is that the information is available, but if you don't ask or you don't look around, you will not get to access or connect to those information. So a platform like being in the university right now is even like a positive advantage for students that are here right now that are thinking of probably starting a business, or they have an idea they want to turn into technological solutions. So for example, at Memorial University, there are some incubators called Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship, an enterprise training program, entrepreneurship training programs. So those particular incubators actually help students that have any tech idea or any business idea to actually help you, offer you training resources, offer you skills that you can help to scale your idea into bigger solutions. And I think as at last week, the MC Center, that is the Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship, they just launched a new program called Launch Learn. So what that particular program does is it provides support for students and training for students that have new ideas that they want to probably turn into a business while they are studying. And I think it's a 12 weeks program, and there's some funds, there's some grant support that comes with that program. So if you are able to go through the 12 weeks program, you're going to be provided with some funding opportunities to actually test run what you've been able to develop in that 12 weeks of training program. So I think they just started that particular program last week at the Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship. So if you're a Memorial University student here, you might want to connect with IOPO. I think IOPO has some connections there also, just to be able to leverage on that particular program. So for some of us that are probably looking to start business, or probably are looking to actually get started with business, so I normally just say, how do we get started? So the first is you want to probably just do the market research. Even by what is the environment that you are right now? What are the gaps? How can you solve those gaps? Or what are your solution? Where can it fit in the environment? So when you identify, if you do a thorough market analysis, you are able to see where your business idea fits in, either in a new niche or probably an existing niche, and you can be able to build your solutions around that. The next thing is basically having a business plan, and thanks to the era of AI now, so you don't have to think you don't have to go through a long process of starting a business plan. You could have like a sketch or a draft of a plan, and then with the help of AI, you can be able to get a thorough explanation of how your business can be designed, and you can be able to scale, in the future. Another one is funding, and that's one of the things I've just mentioned. Like some of this I've just mentioned now. How can you be able to leverage on funds to grow? Some of us, we have that we have that restriction of how am I going to get started? I don't have enough funds to get started. How am I going to be able to leverage on those resources? So there are some grants that you can apply for. There are some investments you can seek. Basically, if you connect with those platforms I just shared earlier, particularly the Canadian Business Finder directory platform, those platforms are actually very helpful. Particularly, it was helpful for me when I was just getting started. Another important steps you can also take is mentorship. You can never undermine the power of a mentor. So the mentor will help you because they've been able to go ahead of you over time. They are going to encourage you and show you how to actually navigate the new space that you have found yourself and how to be able to grow in that particular space. Another thing is networking, and I'm glad that we added that to our talk today, being able to leverage on the power of network. At least, I remember my co-founder, when we got started with Kidera, we started, I think it was just at the Quidividi Lake when we had the idea. But how we were able to scale that company to being visible even to the central Canada was because we actually leveraged on the power of networking. We're able to put ourselves out there online, show people what we do. We're able to be very visible. And before you know it, we had our first conference in Toronto, and we're speaking to over 40,000 people on a live stage about our solution. So basically, there's a power in networking, and it's going to reposition you to be able to go to the next phase you want to be. So having looked at all this, basically, there are common challenges, and I want to probably just mention that there are some common challenges that you might probably experience when, as a small business getting started, and that could be market saturation in certain sectors. It could be like, yes, this people are doing this, a lot of this, people are doing this, people have already gone into these sectors. They've already maxed it out. Should I go into it? So one of the things I normally just tell people that are looking into that particular area is that, okay, if you want to go into a sector that has been maxed out, you need to have what makes you unique. You need to have what makes you, there's a particular concept called what makes you sticky. Sticky means that what would make your customer wants to come back. What's that is going to differentiate you from that particular overcrowded sector you want to go in? Or you want to probably explore again, if this sector truly has been maxed out, what are the other common area sectors close to that niche that you can still build your business upon? It's just like Uber. Uber app is running. And also, even though Uber has already scaled out, they looked at the food industry. The truth is that the food industry has also been maxed out. We have DoorDash. We have every other food delivery app there. But Uber Eats was still able to build on their current infrastructure of Uber. Uber was able to build on their Uber platform to start Uber Eats. So that's what I'm saying, that even though a particular niche might have been maxed out, you can look at associated and connected niche close to that maxed out niche to be able to start from there. And then from there, you can be able to scale higher. The next is access to capital. Before we go to this, access to capital and scaling up, basically. So we need to just connect with, we need to network and be able to ask questions. How can I have this particular goal in my business. How can I get there? Who can I speak to? What platform can I reach out? What platform can I find answers from? Or what professional can I speak to? That particular passion for you to be able to get that out there will be able to make you connect with capitals and find it. Next one is regulatory requirements. So there are some regulations that we need to probably be aware of, even in our province here. Particularly, let's say you are into the food industry. There are some, you have to probably be licensed. You have to go through thorough inspection before you probably open a center. So these are the things that we have. It might be a common challenge getting started. But by the time you are able to go through the proper route of establishing your businesses, you'll be able to overcome this particular regulatory requirement. And I think the last one is being able to build a brand that provides solution. And solution is not just one word. Basically, it comes from being able to understand times and seasons and how to adjust to it. when times and season changes. Then we can go to the next slide. So over the years where I've been here, I've noticed some tech startups. Like I said, my own area of expertise is in tech and startups. So we've had tech startups that have started from the way we are, that started from like the very base of it all, and they're currently doing well. And these are some of the examples of tech startups that are in our province here that started well. And I think I think it's a Trophy AI. Trophy AI, I think about 3 months ago, just secured I think it was $5 million funding from the United States and in partnership with Canada to build a tech training platform for Formula One racers. So basically, these are our own in-house at Newfoundland tech companies, and they are doing well. So why am I showing these success stories? That if we have these people here that started here and they are doing well, we also can actually join this particular company and we can do well. Another company that I probably want to talk to us about that we can get started with for those of us that want to go into building technical solutions is Genesis Center. So Genesis Center is also a popular incubation center here in St. John's that you can connect with. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to me about Genesis Center. I'm currently in one of the incubators. I can be able to answer your questions. And also, if you are in the technical space as well, you want to probably connect with TechNL or Co-Innovation Center. These are platforms that can help you connect with resources in the technological space. That's why, so when you identify the niche of where you want to start your business, you want to look for associations, organizations that are already in that particular area that you can connect with and be able to get meaningful information from them. And we can go to the next slide. So I think for some of us are here, because that was the idea I was thinking about. For those of us that are student entrepreneurs right now, time is of the essence. Before you finish your program at your institution, there are a lot of groups, society, and communities you can connect with that could help you leverage the idea you have right now and bring it, that can help you scale up your idea to a bigger solution. And you want to probably stay informed about emerging trends and market and needs. And that part, joining incubation centers like MC, attending programs like ETP at MON would help you understand emerging trends and even what other innovators are doing to get them better, to get them to where they are going. And also, I would advise that you use all available resources, including your university and local business hubs and also government programs that are available within your province. So basically, you want to explore every available program. You want to ask questions, like I was saying earlier. You want to connect with all these particular hubs within your institution to be able to find answers to the questions you have relating to your business. And I think this part is a very, very important part for me that some of us, most people don't talk about. And I would say burnout is really real. Burnout is really real. While you are, for example, for students that are here, while you are trying to, study and pass well in your program, at the same time you want to start a business, there's a chance that you might get burnt out along the way. So there are important steps you need to take to watch out for yourself so that you won't get burnt out along the way. I think the first step is basically just setting boundaries. When I say setting boundaries, like setting an LD boundary. You want to know how much far is too far for you when it comes to you processing, working on your project or working on starting your companies or starting your businesses. Also, you want to practice self-care. Your self-care could be going to the gym. Your self-care could be going for an hike. The winter is coming now. You might not be able to go on a hike, but you can probably go indoor, But you want to practice what to you means self-care. You want to look after yourself first. And then the next thing is probably, in case you are working with a team, you want to delegate and collaborate with other team members. Or you feel like there's a particular task you want to do and you are not able to, you don't have enough time to do it. You could leverage on people that know how to do those things, and you can be able to delegate those tasks to them so that they can help you do it and save time without overstressing your own self. Another thing is managing time effectively. You don't want to overuse your time in one area while another area is lacking attention in your own overall in your life. And next is seek support. I think that's one of the things I think I recently did. I collected with with a counselor. I guided me when I was in the midst of running my business, finishing my program, and then starting a tech startup. It was it was an interesting time. But I was able to actually speak to a counselor about how do I go about this space? How do I prioritize what is important at that particular time? And how do I address that? And that session was really helpful to me. So sometimes you might need to connect with your pastor, you might need to connect with other members. If you are feeling like you are taking too much on yourself, or you have some questions you can't answer, being able to connect with your peers in your community, in the church, would be really good. And I think that's going to be the end of my talk. I don't know if you have any question. You can shoot that at me. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Let's put our hands together for him. Oh, great. Do we have any questions? Anyone with any question? Okay.
Yeah, thanks. I think this is actually a really interesting part of the discussion, even though the earlier ones were actually interesting too. But getting into it, doing it, incubating it, and making it come to life, I think is, extremely essential. So thank you for this. So the question is, in terms of getting started, do these organizations or bodies require some kind of proposal, right, about your idea, or there are provisions to helping you develop that? So the reason I'm asking is some people have business ideas, but probably are unable to put it in black and white. And so do you have in all this society, like MCP, for instance, where you can have a session like probably just speak, and someone is able to guide you to put in a proposal that can land you, because I know the grants doesn't just come free, right? Yeah. You have a lot of work, so but you just glossed over it, like made it really interesting. So I want to understand the nitty-gritty around that, in terms of getting all of those connections that you talked about. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. So I would say, students they are really lucky in terms of, particularly if you are a Memorial University student, there's a lot of resources to help you in that particular space. Particularly the MC, that is the Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship, they provide a session where you connect with a solutions consultant. And you can tell the solution consultant your idea, what you are thinking, and that solution consultant can walk you through a practical steps of bringing those ideas to life. So they have a session like that. And that's what I just talked about Launch Learn program. So if you are currently a student here, you might probably want to take advantage of Launch Learn program right now at the university, the MC Center. Another one again is the ETP Center as well, ETP program. So what they do is that they bring in innovators or even business leaders that are already in the province to come and give an experience, to come and share their experience and their guidelines and tips. And you can connect with those folks after their sessions, and they can walk you through the typical steps of what they did at that time. So for those of us that are not students, that are currently working or in the community, there's Genesis Center that we can reach out to. We can connect with Genesis Center as well, and probably book a one-on-one meeting with one of the startup coordinators and share your idea and ask for practical steps of how you can get started, and even eventually get into the incubator program with that center. So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. To buttress what he said, what our speaker said, I think the best way to start is to start. There is no two way to it. The best way to start is to get a pen and a paper, write the name of your idea, write your idea. If you are lucky enough, you know how to use ChatGPT. Put it in ChatGPT. Okay, I want to start a coconut milk factory. Run it in ChatGPT. Generate a business plan for a coconut factory. So the best way to start is start, then ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. All right. Any other questions? Awesome. Let's put our hands together for our speaker. It's been an amazing time.
Praise the Lord. I think we should put our hands together for all those who have presented today. It's been awesome. My notes, I just can't wait to go back and look at all the things I have written down here. The intention behind this program was to break the mental limits we have and let us begin to step beyond our comfort zones, that there is much more that lies outside there, and we have opportunities around us every day that if we do not awake to them and don't take advantage to them, we could just keep losing them or living limited lives. And all the speakers today have harped on the need for taking initiative, for being intentional about the future, of being intentional about change, and valuing the uniqueness of who you are and what you are, and that you need to connect with people, connect with mentors, people who have done it, who are ahead of you in the industry, because they will give you vital insights that could help to shorten your journey, and you don't have to learn by your own mistakes. You can always learn from people who have done it before. And some of our speakers have given practical resources, sites, and places where you can go get quick help, which is very, very good. I want to urge every one of us, those who are here, and the people, the community we have online who are following this, and the recordings are there too, for those who will want to listen to this over again, or those who couldn't participate today because of work or some other reasons. I want to encourage every one of us to not just go through these sessions, but to have penned down plans and action points on what you want to do differently from this event. And I have specifically asked all the resource persons who have spoken today to leave the doors open so we can follow up with them and get more customized guidance, in our own journeys. So it's important that you do something deliberately about this, the things you have learned today, and let there be some practical things you can point to say, I have done this, I have done that after this program. And we are looking to have follow-up sessions where we can build upon what we have learned. So from the church, Deeper Life Bible Church in Newfoundland, and all our extended families and well-wishers who are connected, we want to say a very big thank you to our resource persons and our friends and visitors who have graced this program, and the sacrifice you have put in. Kim and you've been here from the morning. It's been awesome to have you sitting through the sessions, and the wealth of experience you have brought in here. We thank you. And for all of us, the people who have worked behind the curtain, our IT people who've been projecting this all across the world. We have people in the hospitality who have been putting our meals together, managing the children outside there as they've been running around. We've got people who are in the graphics and the people who are in the media team. We thank you. God bless you. God bless you. And there are people who put this program together. Please, let's put our hands together for them as well. It's been awesome. They've worked tirelessly to make this happen. It's been a dream long in coming. They've been for almost 2 months been working at this and arranging and preparing. It's been awesome. We trust that God will bless you, and that the fruit, the results of this program will be thanks to your input, thanks to your contribution. God bless you in Jesus' name.